Welcome to another Hope episode. This is going to be one of those ones, but I say that every week, huh? But it's been one of those ones every week. We've been putting a lot of energy, time, effort, focus, concentration into these classes, and we hope you feel benefit from it. We put the energy into them. So tonight is another one. I'm excited to teach and listen. And just because, it's one of my favorite topics, the wolf versus the dog, one of my favorite topics. This is, to me, the crux of entrepreneurship at its core. Nothing moves without understanding these philosophies. Nothing moves. A lot of people will stay confused as entrepreneurs as to why their shit ain't popping or working, or why they can't get traction, or why does this happen or that happen, without understanding the fundamentals of this. And this is entrepreneurship 101. So without further ado, let's get it cracking. Let's start. First slide. So, a couple things before we get into the book. We call it Out of the Darkness in Operation. So, there has been a lot of philosophies that have floated through that apply to our growth and our movement as entrepreneurs. A lot of tools that we've learned this year, right? And we all know the saying, everybody got a plan until they get punched in the face. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. And in these economic times, there's a lot of people going through it. A lot of people having economic issues and turmoil and trying to figure shit out. Or outside of entrepreneurship, just in darkness. You can't, in order to get into a good rhythm of entrepreneurship, name of the game is you got to be able to manage your emotions. That's why on my side, Emotional Agility has been such an important book to teach, to read, to learn, because you have to be able to manage your own emotions. And emotions, the surface of emotions can be all over the place. It's like the top of the wave. But how do you keep a steel current underneath in order for you to move where you need to move? And can we all agree that sometimes you're going to be in dark places? Sometimes. There are times where you will be in dark places. And I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, but I'm an entrepreneur. And from an entrepreneurship perspective, what tools do we need to help us navigate from the darkness to where you can continue your momentum? Because guess what? Your customers don't care. Your employees don't care. Rent don't care. Phone bill don't care. Payroll don't care. So how do you navigate? So let's go to the next slide. Now, what's very interesting about navigating through darkness is that we are all individually, we have similarities, but we have nuances to our personality. Our makeup is different. Not just us being men or women or being straight or gay or any of those alphabets. Even individually, we have nuances to our personality. So that's why we can't send recipes. Just do this. Splash water on them. Sprinkle some crack on it. Like, everybody's different. So your makeup, your chemicals that make you up, how much testosterone you have, how much estrogen you have that flowing through your body makes a difference in how you operate. So if you're a super high testosterone alpha male telling somebody that doesn't have that much strength to say, get up, stop acting like a bitch, Like it will be more challenging for you. So you have to, the idea is, it goes back to the rule we talked about, and that's knowing thyself, really understanding who you are, your own personal nuances, what buttons that you got to press for you, what's your makeup, what makes you cry, what makes you laugh, what triggers you, what pushes you to the edge, what's easy for you, what's challenging for you. And every person is different. You might be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations with people, and you might dread it. People say that public speaking to some is a worse fear than dying. And that may be easy for somebody, but they see a mouse or a snake and they run around crying. And that person may go pick it up with their bare hands and be like, oh, no, it's harmless. Everybody is different. So that's why I was telling Josh earlier, like, we got to get out of other people's pockets, out of their psychology, out of their mind. The you that's inside of you is your lifelong project to understand, to learn, to get better at. You can't win this game without understanding how you operate. You can't. Does anybody in here know what things that they have to stay away from because they don't have self-control? Do you know where those things are? You know how to navigate around those things? Like, do you know where your limits are at the gym? Do you know when your last rep is actually your last rep? A lot of times, a lot of us haven't figured out our body chemistry, our body makeup, our mind-body connection yet. Sometimes your body will say, 8, this is it. But if you had somebody motivating you from behind, you could squeeze out 2 more. Y'all nasty.
Hey, yo.
I was going to say no, but she started laughing.
Y'all nasty. Y'all nasty. I'm not mad, though. So what's the difference between that two? So can you learn that about yourself? Can you figure out a way to do that with yourself without having added motivation? I don't know. You have to figure that out. Like, learning how to turn the knobs and buttons of your own mind and psychology is your lifelong study. That's what makes for great, good entrepreneurs. So I can't give anyone any kind of formulas to process through. It's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying the key element to it is to find the edges of where you are. Find your edges. Be in complete observance of yourself. Man, why did I do it? I just noticed, did that. Let me figure, what is that? Where's that come from? And if you're constantly doing that, then you'll find that you'll be crossing things off of your list over time of like, oh, I've just defeated that fear. I just got over that. I'm calmer than I used to be. I'm fixing that. And now you're really getting to the rhythm of knowing thyself. And it's hard to do that when things are going well. Because you're in the flow, everything's good. Ha ha ha, you're laughing, he, joking, fun. It's hard to do that. You have to be really intentional when things are going really well. But when you're hit with shit, darkness, troubles, issues, calamity, this is when you get to practice. And that's when you know, damn, I bitched up right there. I'm going to take notes on that. That's my limit. Okay, when this happens, this is what I do. All right, I'm work on that. Because this can't happen again. Instead of shaming yourself, you're just like a person in a lab taking notes on you. And you're constantly trying to optimize the person you are. So that's why when you get to the darkness, if things happen, you can continue to get straight in that mode of, okay, what do we have to do? Next slide. Goes back to this. Run your own race. If you are comparing constantly yourself, especially in times where shit ain't going good, you're comparing yourself to other people, you're just causing more calamity, more depression, more anxiety, more whys, more life is unfair on yourself. It's your race. Why were you put here? This is your race. Ain't nobody been through what you've been through. So who the hell are you comparing to? So the goal in this point is one step in front of the other. What can I do today to improve my situation? Here's the other thing. In situations of darkness, some of the most challenging things to do is think about the long game. You have to know that you're compromised in tough situations. Your IQ's lower because anxiety's high, fear's high, these emotions are high. So you have to know that you're compromised. So the decisions that you make have to be ran through filters because they're not necessarily going to be psychologically sound all the time. The long game in a survival situation is one of the most complicated tools that you can learn, but that is the key. Now, it doesn't mean that you may not have to make short game decisions, but you know that it's a short game decision if it comes to that. You get backed into a corner and somebody's coming at you. Well, if I put my hands on him, then that's 25 to life. And no, you know at a certain point, decisions you have to make. But playing the long game, thinking long game strategies, what's the impact that this is going to have? What is the long-term impact that this is going to have? Yeah, short-term, but thinking through to what is the long-term impact that this could have in a situation. Other thing is this. Winter comes, right? Mm-hmm. But winter doesn't last forever. Winter feels like it does. Feels like it does. If it stormed and flooded for 40 days and 40 nights, tell yourself day 2 that this is not going to last forever. It's going to feel like hell. Mm-hmm. But no winter lasts forever. Spring will come. Spring's going to come. And that's where you have to really dig down into who you are, dig down into your higher purpose, dig down into your spiritual side, dig down into your own development as a person, and dig down into your resources around you. Because guess what? As we said, you're compromised. You have to rely on people who can see outside of you. Because you're in it. You're in the weeds. People that support and love you that are outside the weeds, they can offer you ideas and suggestions that can potentially help you and make your moves more sound. But you got to stay in your own lane and run your own race. Because winter's coming. For some of us, winter's here. Some of us, we're in the middle of winter. Some of us, we're right at the edge of getting out of winter and don't realize it. But winter's here. A lot of business is closed. A lot of relationships is fucked up. A lot of people's mental health is fucked up. So what do? Well, The title of this class is called The Wolf versus the Dog. What do you do? We teach that wolf shit. So there are no there is no retreating back to going to be a dog. We got to figure out and find a way. Run your own race, though. Next slide. Anybody remember this formula?
Acceptance.
How to get here? How do we get here? How do we get to self-love?
There was 3 things I remember. Acceptance was one of them.
Self-acceptance. Self-forgiveness.
Yes.
Anybody remember the third? Self-acceptance. So it starts with self-acceptance. It is what it is. Oh, that's that. You know how much shoulder dropping you can do? It is what it is. How much money's in the account is in the account. Whatever that damage is, that's the damage. Whatever I weigh, that's how much I weigh. That person's gone, that person's gone. He left. That person passed away, that person passed away. That person, self-acceptance means it is what it is. I accept it exactly where it is. I'm not battling with myself to wish it could be different or it should be something else. Nope. It is what it is. Right? So now what? Now you accept it. Now that number's clear. 84593.26. That's the number. You hid from looking at it. You ran from it. You did cowboy math in your head. No, now you see the number exactly for what it is. Now what's next? You gotta forgive yourself for anything, because of the first thing most of us do after looking at that number is we start feeling guilt. And we start feeling shame, and we start feeling bad, and we start feeling horrible, and I'm just such an idiot. No. Forgive yourself. Whatever you don't think you are, forgive yourself. So self-acceptance, self-forgiveness, then self-love will give you that high self-value. And the reason why we need the high self-value, because the higher the self-value, the easier it is to evaluate ourselves and tweak and learn and get better. If you're hiding from your flaws, then when you hit the darkness, you're going to get exposed. When bad shit happens, you're going to get exposed. Because you ain't been working on nothing. You've been shielding it. You've been kind of, But that's your formula. So let's go to the next slide. So it's beyond know thyself. It's study thyself. To get to that know thyself point, you got to study thyself. You have to observe thyself and you have to push thyself. You have to know where your limits are. How can you know yourself when you don't know your limits? It's like having a stereo and turning it up to 6. And be like, how loud do it go? I don't know, but I'm just going to stay here at 6. You don't know. Let's turn that shit up till you start hearing the speakers start to like, oh shit, let me stop. Okay, I know now 9.75 is where I stop. How much can you lift at every muscle? What's your max? What's your max psychologically? What's your max emotionally? You heard the term with the straw that broke the camel's back? Where are all the straws for you? like I'm having to deal with some unhappy customers, right? I gotta spread them out one a day. That's all I could do. Cause all the shit I got going on, I gotta stop and do. Let's spread them out one a day. I'll call him tomorrow. I'll call him Thursday. I'll call him Friday. One a day. Cause that takes an emotional toll. Takes an emotional toll. I learned that from having 3 a day. No, I ain't doing that no more. Where's your limits at? Where's your fear limits at? What things are you afraid of? What phobias do you have? Figured out why you have them? Don't run from yourself. Have you tried to push yourself past them? What happened when you did that? You should have a fucking story. Tell me the story. What happened? Oh, you did what? You threw up? Oh shit. Okay, cool. That's good. You're pushing it. If you're stuck in your comfort zone and you don't want to get out, you don't want this. You don't want this entrepreneurship shit. This entrepreneurship journey will break you down. It'll break you down. You are your study. What books do you get to where you like, I gotta put it down? It's too much. Study thyself, observe thyself, push thyself. Past your limits. Where are your limits? It's a brother at the gym. It's funny. He's trying to figure out where his limits are. Every time I see in the gym on the bench, he doesn't know how to stop one rep before fatigue, so he always gets stuck. Always get the weight stuck on his chest.
I like him already.
And I fuck with him like, hey, you that much of like you going that hard where you risk your life for this shit. Like, so whenever he's on the bench, I always have one eye over there because I know he's going for it. And I run over there like, oh, dude, like, stop one before. He's like, I know, man. I said, or just ask me for a spot. But I respect what you're doing because he's pushing it. He's trying to find it. Where are you stopping? Where are you stopping? Where it's safe? Could you have not done 2 more? Where are you running? Because it's only going to hurt you when you get in situations of darkness. The difference between people who stay depressed and dark for long periods of time and people who get there and climb their way back up is the difference between people who are constantly pushing themselves to the edge and they understand themselves and the ones who don't. They're running. So next slide. So
Treat the darkness like rehabbing from an injury.
So think about an injury. Because the mind can be correlated to the body. So if you go next slide, go ahead, go next slide. Go ahead, read the next slide.
You have to rehabilitate the muscles through reading, learning, and practicing what you learn consistently.
Next slide.
Too light, not enough pressure, and you'll never heal. Going too hard, too fast, and you could get injured again.
You understand? So there's a sweet spot. There's a science to this. But you have to use it as rehab. What can I do today to get slightly better than I was yesterday? Small tweaks. What can I do today? Let me stop. What can I do today? Too light, not enough pressure, you'll never heal. Going too hard, too fast, you injure yourself again. So me personally, knowing myself, I'm on the too hard, too fast side. Whenever I something, I want to get back tomorrow. So I have a tendency, I've until I figured it out, my whole lifetime has been having a tendency of trying to rush back in too quickly and just pushing through pain. Then I'm down another 6 months, pushing through, trying to get, what the doctor say, 6 months? I'm going to do it in 3. I'm going to do it in 2. What you doing back in the gym? Man, I'm fine. Now I'm out another 6 months. So I've learned on this, I had to have patience in the process and learn the art of where my sweet spot is of healing. Some of you guys might be on the other side, where you get an injury and you're so traumatized by the injury, you don't want to injure again, so you just light, going through the motions because you're scared. Mm-hmm. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. That's not going to get you nowhere in what we doing. So how do you know where your sweet spot is in this bell curve? You got to know yourself. It comes through trial and error. Mm-hmm. I've torn my bicep. Me too. From just going too hard. Torn chest, but from going too hard. Okay, dude, let's come up with a pattern of like rest days and healing and things. But there's people you see on the gym on the phone. Mm-hmm. They look the same. Ain't nothing gonna change. And I'm using that literally, but figuratively, it's the same in business and life and everything. You're going too light in life. Nothing's gonna change. Your relationships, nothing's gonna change. Are you on the phone and you just doing this? Slow paddling. What are you doing? We wasting our time. So you gotta find your sweet spot, but you have to be on the edge of yourself, pushing yourself. So you have to be on the edge of yourself. Mm-hmm. What does it feel like to be on the edge of yourself? You're a little scared, right? Oh shit. Because unknown, I'm like right outside my comfort zone. I ain't never seen this before. Oh. But one hand might be on my comfort zone, but one hand is outside the comfort zone. You're like, oh shit, this is different. Now you playing the game of life. Because if there is a situation, an event or a calamity or job losses or recessions or whatever, the ones who played it safe, you're gonna pay for it then. You're gonna pay for it. So, as in this room, that's what we teach. That's what we promote. Scary. That gets your fangs to come out. It gets you excited. It's like, yeah, when you in the fucking trenches, don't feel good. Mm-hmm. I've been Jordan and me have been in the trenches for like 4 months. Shit don't feel good. It ain't cool. It ain't fun. I'm pushing his ass. I'm getting pushed. Sometimes I sit and lay in bed and just stare at the fucking ceiling. The fuck? Shit crazy. That's that entrepreneurship shit though. And guess what? It molds you. It changes you. It makes you a stronger person. It makes you a more fortified person. Like to me, like my business currently, COVID was like going to Disneyland compared to the shit that we doing. COVID was Disneyland. I could do 3 COVIDs. That's what I was thinking. Like, damn, I'm way different. Like, you bring me a COVID? Like,
that's all you got.
Really? By Thursday, I'm good. But guess what? during COVID, I was, oh shit, God, please. This is so hard. I can't believe this. This is my last rep. I can't do no more than this. But this shit, I can do COVID. I could do 20 reps of COVID. But you don't know because you don't know until you push there. This road we take is like it's an alternative road. It's entrepreneurship. And the goal of this slide is to get you to understand that you're not sitting still. You're always looking for ways to grow and improve. And if you don't do it, it will be done for you. Next slide. Now there is a cheat code that some people use. And the cheat code that some people use, if we're attributing that to athletics or physical working out, is I could take a painkiller and the pain will go away.
Temporarily.
I can take, have you seen any NBA games or football games where somebody gets cracked, they get injured hard, but they're needed bad and they go back in the back and then 5 minutes later they come running out and you're like, wait a minute, he was just on a stretcher. Because they shot him with something. So it will work. But pain is pain for a reason. It's telling you where the threshold is. It's a signal. So if you don't feel the pain anymore, then boy, you continue that pattern over time, then what will end up happening is you'll do further damage to yourself. Further damage to yourself. That's why it's important to choose rehab over painkillers, rehab over a shot, rehab over coping mechanism, rehab over alcohol, rehab over drugs, rehab over whatever it is we're doing. Take the rehab route. And that's the slow, all right, rehab. How much can you lift? 5 pounds? Well, then we're going to start with 5 pounds. This is so boring. I was lifting 200 before. Yeah, but rehab. So understand the difference. And we all, a lot of times, will get that inkling of like, man, I just need to cope I just need my mind off it. I just need to think. I just want to feel good for a moment. But that sacrifice, a lot of times will take you away from the real journey of the rehab journey that you need to get back.
I finally got the chance to catch up on the podcast that Nana had posted when they were talking about pain and how the brain processes it. And just that instance made me think about how the lady was talking about how her daughter was going through like severe depression and how we perceive pain versus what's registering it and how it impacts our actions. Oftentimes we do want that immediate escape or numbing or distraction, but the brain is very much situated in pulling up past experiences to deal with coping. So I really liked how they talked about how do you flood the brain with different experiences in order for you to show it that there's other options, essentially, like training it in a different way. And that's like kind of what makes me think about like when I'm bringing somebody to the gym and they're messing up a torn rotator cuff or a knee or something, there's specific protocols for like strengthen, lengthen, rest, right? So there's all these things. Mm-hmm. And it was dope because it made me think about the way that we train the brain to process pain that I had never really thought about in that way before. So it was like really like hand in hand with this right here.
Yeah, there's different types of therapies, right? Mental, just like physical therapy, different types of therapies. If you were to go to therapy, right? Freudian therapy, rational motive therapy, Rogerian counseling, like there's different types of therapies. And they all have different patterns to get you to a place of healing. Same terminology for the brain as it is for the body. Now, just as relative as it is in the body, it's also relative in the mind, maybe more so in the mind. Relativity of the spectrum of mental pain, depression, darkness, all those things. And the threshold is understanding where those pressure points are for you. The reason why there's different therapies, because different approaches work on different people. Period. Just like a personal trainer, you may be perfect for a person like me, but may be irritating to someone else, depending on who they are. That slide's gonna come a couple days later, so we're gonna talk that in a couple slides down. We're gonna talk about that. So let's keep going. So now we're gonna get into more of the book and how this correlates with the book. The Emotional Agility, Chapter 8 and Chapter 9. Next slide.
Don't confuse confidence, the feeling, with confidence, the action.
Okay, so one of the tools to this is a lot of times people say, I don't feel confident, or I'm not confident, or I'm not going to move until I'm confident. Or how are you so confident? Why are you so confident? Because most people know that there's confidence to feeling and confidence to action. Confidence to feeling is, I got this. Shit, I got this. We gonna make this happen. How confident? I'm all the way confident. Confidence is, can you spell the word the? How confident are you? I'm 100% confident I can spell the word the. Like, if I had to stand at the free throw line, how confident am I that I can make at least one shot? I'm 100% confident. Like, confidence is the feeling. Now, a lot of times, most people think that people move in that space of confidence in all the shit they do, or when they go out and do big things or big scary things. But it's not true. Most of us operate in confidence, the action. Confident, the action is different. Confidence, the action says, I'm scared as fuck, but I'm going after this anyway. I'm a move towards it. I'm a go after it. I'm scared. I'm not 100% confident in the feeling that it's gonna happen or even go right, but confidence, the action, has me moving towards it. It's two different things. Most of us haven't learned that there's a separation of the two. Once you get into confidence, the action, now you're fully committed to the process of making it happen, even though you're uncomfortable or even scared in the moment. So we want to play the confidence and action game. Because you're not going to be confident all the time. Hey, we going to get this figured out. Really? How we going to do it? Shit, I don't know. But we going to figure it out. So let's take the first step. Let's get in here. Let's open it up. Let's figure it out. Let's do some brainstorming. You do some research. You go here, and we going to work on this. I don't know how I'm going to get it done yet. Confidence to action. A lot of times when you live in confidence to action and confidence to the feeling, sometimes it makes you feel like a superhero. Because it make people think you're a superhero. Because, damn, like, what can't you do? Moving with confidence lets yourself know that you're committed to this process. Now, back to the darkness piece. That's what makes confidence the action so powerful, because when you're in a darkness, you don't feel confident a lot of the times. Sometimes you don't want to get up and take a shower. But confidence, the action tells you, let's take a shower. Let's make our bed. Let's get clean. Let's make our list. Let's do the first thing on the list. I don't feel like doing none of it. Let's go to the gym. I don't feel like doing any of it. I'm not confident in any of it, but the action will perpetuate the confidence, the feeling. Oh shit, that was an excellent workout. Next slide.
Life is relative.
Okay, so this goes back to the psychology conversation too, is that psychological damage, trauma, life is relative. Mm-hmm. And once you learn the relativity game of life, you can move quickly through whatever mental shit you're going through. If you play the game of relativity, man, this is what if you're stuck in just what you're going through and you can't step outside and see that the 98% of the world wish they had your life. 98% of the world wish they had your life. Or in certain instances in psychology, certain instances where some therapies are just about building rapport with the patient. And once they build the rapport, they can tell them to change and they do it instantly. Mm-hmm. Well, what the fuck happened? Was all the psychological shit? Nope. It was, they just needed to respect you enough to listen to you. So they say, hey, stop doing that. Okay. Because it was about rapport. Some therapies is you reflect back. You're paying a therapist to just sit there and listen to you. And while you're talking, you're reflecting back your life over and over and all the shit you're going through. And the goal is for you to hear all the stupid ass shit you're doing and you realize how dumb it is. To where like, yeah, that don't make no sense. Like, yeah, I gotta stop doing that. Mm-hmm. That's a real therapy. Because that's using relativity at that point. Like, oh man, like some people change based on the herd. They don't even know why they're doing it. They'll just start doing it because their crowd's doing it. That's why this game is relative. That's why during war times, depression goes down. Because it's relative now. Life and death. Life and death versus the other things that we had to figure out to be depressed about. Life is relative. So that's why you got to get away from the right or wrong conversations, the hot and cold conversations. There's no such thing as hot and cold. Did you know that? Did you know that? There's no such thing as hot and cold. That's the language we use for human understanding. Because it's all relative. Like 30 degrees. Is 30 degrees cold?
Yes.
Cold? Yes, Shakina says.
I get into that water 3 days a week. It's cold.
30 degrees is cold. But if you got into negative 30 degree water,
You would die.
and then got into 30 degrees, it wouldn't feel that as cold as it normally would. It'd feel warmer. Oh, because it's relative. It's just heat. It's only heat.
But technically that's like ice, so you'd be trapped because...
Technically, but you get my point. It's all heat. It's not hot or cold. It's all heat. So, like, have you ever jumped into a 70-degree pool?
Cold as hell.
It's cold as hell. the beginning. But then after you swim around in it for a while, it feels what?
Warm.
Feels normal because it's relative. If you, you had a question.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not challenging the concept of relativity because I think that in the general span of time, like we need that leading our thoughts. When it comes to extremes, like there's a point in time, like in temperatures, where hot is hot and cold is cold because you'll burn your skin off or you'll freeze to death. So, like, when, like, in what context is relativity applicable in day-to-day life? Like, there has to be like a outer bounds, right? Like, how do you discover what those borders are for this conversation?
First is understanding the concept.
Okay.
And embracing the idea that everything is relative based on what? So if I say that you're rich, you might disagree. But the question is based on what? What comparison? So before we are quick to say, to lean to a particular side and be polarized by something, if you always start your mental conversation with relativity, you know it's relative. There's no right and wrong. So let's take right and wrong, for example. That's the concept that you have to really marry in your day-to-day life. Because if you are consumed with right and wrong, then you won't go far. Because you'll create limits on yourself based on the parameters that you're setting of what's extreme and what's not extreme. What is easy for you today was extreme for you 5 years ago. So stop saying what's extreme because you're just placed a limit on yourself. The Shekinah that started her gym 10 years ago and the Shekinah today, you whoop her ass. It could be 4 of them against you and you whoop all 4 of their ass. But you were stressing out.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So you were at your extreme in those moments. So if you take the limits off completely and be like, all right, I know I'm just at a mental limit, but this is not real. It's all relative. Then you're willing to go further into the depths of wherever you need to go to get your results. We're in the results game. We're not in the right and wrong game. The results game says we got to get here. If your right and wrong is here, you'll never get there. Jordan?
On this topic, we used to have this conversation a lot where it used to be like, get your hand out of other people's pocket. You know, and the customer will always hijack me when they're like, you know, we have a budget or we got kids from impoverished areas.
Right.
So instantly I'm like, damn, like, I don't want to give them this price. So then when the customer communicates their price, it's usually higher than what I was going to give them. So I'm like, man, I would have just played myself listening to them. So yeah, relativity is important. Like one thing I learned for sure.
Man,
Can I just add one quick thing?
for sure.
If you believe the opposite, it's defensive, right? Because if you say it is what it is, life is not relative; it is the way you see it, and that's kind of a defensive approach. What you realize that all rules, all beliefs, and all ideas are always shifting. And if you believe in this, is also a lifeline to diversity. If you go into the public, the way you see the world is relative to the way you see the world. When you go decide you want to engage with the public, all the different groups have different relativities. And so if you don't realize life is relative, you're constantly making this judgment like, oh, it's crazy that they do this. No, it's not.
Right.
It's just different. And your belief, matter of fact, I was watching the history of African Americans, you know, black folks created the word Negro. Then we created black, and then we created African American. And today, if you was to call a brother a Negro, it's so. If a white person say, "Excuse me, Negro," and you'd be like, "What?" But no, they created that word. We created that word. but it's changed its meaning because of relativity. So most terms that we use for people that is now unacceptable. Queer was a derogatory term, and then slowly but surely it changed its position, right? The N-word for us is a derogatory term, and then we took ownership and made it cool and changed its position, right? So what you'll find is language and ideas and beliefs and values, all these things are moving all the time. Desires, what's in, all this stuff is relative. It's always moving. Only the defensive who anchored themselves in right versus wrong don't want to embrace the relativity of life.
Yeah, so I think once you really embrace this concept, you're gonna multiply. Let's take beautiful and ugly, right? Let's take beautiful and ugly. Like, I'm a black man, right? So I got my particular taste in women, right?
Don't be ashamed.
So I like them with some meat.
You understand me?
But for years, many years, the particular women I was attracted to were considered fat, overweight, chubby, this, that. Guess what? It came in style. And women start paying money to go get their bodies like that. So much so. Because now the relativity of it have moved into the acceptable space. And now people going all over, risking their lives for these surgeries. Right? My business is fashion. So I have a front row seat watching human beings frenzy over one particular style of clothing and then talk shit about it after it goes out of style. Tight jogger pants 5 years ago, you was the shit. Wear tight jogger pants now. See what I'm saying? So it goes literally from beautiful to ugly. But if you are in a right and wrong game, then you stuck on these trends, stuck in what was right for you, stuck with what worked for you, and you're not opening up your capacity to make money. You see what I'm saying? Like, that is the most important, opening your capacity to generate revenue. So whatever, like the last week's class, whatever trend is in, man, like if that is a composite trend that you can align with, man, get that shit. Because what it's going to do is open up capacity for you. This is the real shit. Because what many of us, we stuck on what we like. We stuck on what we like. We stuck on what we want. You just created parameters this thin. You better hope to God that you have a customer base wide enough to support your lifestyle with your narrow view this thin. You better hope. Because if not, you fucked. That's why you got to have this in this completely and be like, NBA players are the best players in the world. Let's test that theory now. Things change. Kaja, yeah.
Are you applying this theory that you explained about relativity to the dog and wolf paradigm as well?
Oh, it could apply, absolutely. And I think he's going to rip that shit apart when he gets to it. It could for sure apply.
Okay. I'm going to have a question for you now when we get there.
Yeah, it for sure can apply. Because once you take I forget what they call them, but when horses race,
Blinders.
they put these blinders on, right? They don't want them looking to the left or to the right. When the gun goes off, they want them going as fast as they can, focusing. So there's parameters that's set for them. Us as humans in business, based on our lifestyle, what we've gone through, our story, our likes and dislikes, we create these same parameters for ourselves, and we think what we like, everybody likes. We love, everybody loves. Fucking not true. 99.9% of the time. So what wise people do, what a wise entrepreneur do is take them off completely and have a 360 view of everything around them to say, where should I go? I think I'm gonna go here. Well, black people don't listen to that kind of music. Oh, fuck. I listen to this. I enjoy this music. Well, you shouldn't do that. What they're saying is, my right and wrong is kicking in so strong about what you should be doing versus, I'm going to go where the success is within my industry.
I didn't ask the question correctly. So let me clarify a little bit more what I meant. If I took like Shakina and I took maybe Josh or Jasadi, right? And they're in different kinds of businesses, in different fields of business. So the things that Shakina might be called upon to do for her business could be different from what they're called upon, could be different from what Nana's called upon. And on a surface level, that could look like she might be going harder, he might not be going quite as hard, they might be somewhere in the middle. So the way we traditionally define the dog and wolf paradigm for the purposes of this class, I'm wondering, is there relativity to that? And I was talking to someone this week about, there's a variation of dogs. There's the dog that'll sit in your lap, all day. And then there's the dog that will just lay in the house, but if you tried to break into the house, the dog would rip you to shreds, right? And then there's the wolf. So there's variations of that, but I think sometimes the way we have held it in definition in the class is binary. Binary.
Oh, I think he's going to eat this up. Yeah, so I'm not even going to answer.
Okay.
I just going to wait because that'll be a beautiful segue.
Oh, so beautiful.
We missed you. I missed you, Kaja. See, I missed you, Kaja.
I might start crying.
That's a good one. Yeah, I'm just going to, that will get answered. Next.
See the world in the realm of reality.
Stop saying what's right and wrong. Could be, maybe, depends. I'm not sure. Have you thought it could be both? It could be both. Like, would you rather have this or would you rather have that? I'd rather have both. Man, you're not fun, Court. Because my brain don't even think about that shit like that. Somebody told me you like to have your cake and eat it too. Hell the fuck yeah. What the fuck you gonna have a cake in your hand for and not eat it? I don't understand why you would have cake in your hand. So like the world of relativity opens you up to different dynamics and formulas that most people won't even try to see. Both. It could be both. Who's right, him or her? Well, you have some great points and you have some great points. No, you got to pick a side. No, I don't. Because everything's relative. You hear the term, there's 3 sides to every story? Here's, hers, and the truth. That's exercising relativity. And if you move with that mentality in everywhere, I'm learning a lot dealing with customers who, dealing with customer complaints. And at the beginning of the conversation, they always blaming the salesperson. Salesperson did this, they did that, they didn't follow through, and then by the end of the conversation, they say, "Well, it's not the salesperson's fault. They were actually fine." It's because in the heat of the moment, you tend to get very structured in right and wrong. Once you open up the dynamic, things open up in your mind and you realize the truth. Next slide. So I want to talk a little bit about ego as the enemy, because it tied too much into what we're talking about today. So let's go next slide. Chapter 1 and 2. None of this moves without humility. None of it. Humility is power. You have to have the ability to sit down, sit under somebody, shut the fuck up, listen, follow directions, follow orders. Nothing moves without that. This game is too complicated and too many moving parts and for you to figure out everything on your own. This game is built on mentorship. Whose coat are you holding to gain knowledge, to get where you want to go? Period. That takes humility. Can you be a Robin to somebody's Batman? Takes humility. Whose coat are you holding? Whose lunch are you buying? Whose mentorship are you asking for? Whose game are you soaking up? That takes humility. You go to any of the previous slides. It's hard to have relativity knowledge without humility, because the heart wants to be right so bad, wants to be right. So to break up the idea of being, you'll rarely be right again playing the relativity game. You got to say goodbye to being right. And that's a tough thing to do for a lot of us. You mean I can't be right no more? Nope. Fuck. It takes humility. It takes humility to be able to do that. Take correction from somebody. Hey, come here, let me holler at you. Do this. That ain't it. This is it. That's not it. I think you should do this. You got to improve this. And it takes true humility to really listen, absorb, and let it sink down to where you actually think about it and apply it. I recently have been doing, working on a project with somebody who got I wasn't even born when he got started. So much more game than me. So much more knowledge and wisdom than me. Top of his field. He's retired now, but top of his field. Whatever school, Ivy League school you want to think of, top Ivy League, he went to it. Top firms, he was managing partner at it, right? So working on this project, we started debating. Wait, time out. You ain't gonna tell me what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell you. Until he was like, hey, look, you wasn't even born when I was doing this. You wasn't even born yet, bro. I've did it on paper. I've did it on sheets. I've done it on 1980s MacBooks and PCs. I've done it on computer. I've done it on every generation in the last 40, 50 years, bro. You wasn't even around. So you can take my wisdom or you cannot. I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to shut the fuck up. I'm going to take your wisdom. Let me move over into the Robin seat and watch things move way smoother, crisper, and I learned so much. It's powerful because now I got that. Now that's in my toolbox. I got that game now. Humility's power. People think humility's weak. Humility's power. The more humble you are, the more you can observe. The more ego you got, the more know-it-all, right and wrong, the more limited, more in a box that you are. Make sense?
Yes.
Next slide. Yeah, shut the fuck up. Stop talking so much. Like that allows us to quell the ego so that we can listen. Sometimes we got to tell ourselves that. This goes back to wanting to be right all the time. So it's hard. It's hard. It's hard. I want to be right. I want to be heard. I want to be listened to. I want people to hear me. I want people to hear me. My shit, my story, my this, my that. When where you want to go is outside of you, which means somebody else has it. So in order to get it, we got to listen. Got to listen. Next slide. This is why.
Talking and doing fight for the same resources.
That's why. Talking and doing fight for the same resources. So what are you spending your energy on? If you're talking and you're talking, you're spewing what's already in your comfort zone and what you know. Versus doing and learning and allowing yourself to expand. We fight for the same resources when we talk. Before class, we was talking about tariffs, and I was like, man, shit, like I lost like 90 G's on this tariffs. And Nana was like, well, shit, that's good. The fact that you lost 90 G's, that means you had a lot of volume go through in a month. I'm like, yeah, that's a fucking good way of thinking about it, I guess. That's relativity, right? Quickly, you can always hop on other sides of any coin at any moment in time. But if you're always talking, all you're doing is repeating what's already in your mind. Focus on the doing. Ego is the Enemy, that book is designed to teach you basically, bless you, to be quiet. To be quiet. Be humble. Listen. Step into a space of I don't know everything, and I'm willing to subject myself to anyone who can teach me what I need to. I'm willing to learn. And I'm willing to hold somebody's coat to get there. I'm willing to be a student constantly. My mentality is of a student's mentality at all times. I say this all the time. After this class, outside of this class, people come sometimes during the week and want to talk to me. I'm a different person. I'm like, well, I don't know. Let's research it. I don't know. Let's figure it out. Or I'm a student. I'm a baby. I'm a baby in business still. Move like that. Next slide. I think that's it. I'm gonna finish a little early.
Damn.
I want some dog and a wolf. Last question, Shakina.
Yeah, so I don't know how to make this question not sound like it's coming from the wrong space. So I'll apologize.
Don't worry about it.
So you just said something that was really humble. You said, here, you choose to lead, right, and show up and serve. And outside of this space, you're a baby, like you're humble outside of the class. And like you've been in your business for a long time. So like when I think about you, or I think about Nana, or I think about other people that have mentored me, like I'm like, man, like I look up to you guys, right? And so to hear you say that, it makes me like want to check my ego, because I study aggressively. and I try to stay curious, but I don't feel like I necessarily, like I feel like I'm constantly fighting to not be seen as a baby in what I do. And I'm sure that has like some contradictive forces in my growth and my perception. But like outside of like humbleness, like at what point, I don't even want to make it like an arrival thing because I know that it's not, but what was the transition? What did the transition look like when you stopped fighting to not try to be the mature business? Or does that make sense?
I understand where you're coming from. So my business speaks for me. I don't speak for my business. So I allow my business, like I work on the machine of my business, so it looks like a thriving, growing, powerful business. It does all the speaking. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So it's not that I'm humble, my business humble. No, my business, we talk shit. We the best. Ain't nobody fucking with us. But we don't say it with our words. We say it with our products, with our customer service, with our quality, with all the things that make our values. But the person behind it, I'm like a kid. I'm a student. I'm not like, yeah, look at what we built. Because shit can happen, just like shit happens. Get punched in the face and the neck. So I don't move like, oh, look, no, I'm like at all times like, okay, what do we got to do better? Who can I learn from? I need to ask somebody something. What book can I read? How can somebody talk to me? I don't know. Now I lead my team. You know what I'm saying? I still lead my team. But a teacher and like, no, I'm moving from a space of, if we don't know, let's figure this out together. If you need leadership in this moment, I'm going to give it to you. You need truth, I'm going to give it to you. But I separate the perception of the company. I want, just like a couple of slides where it says, it's talk, right? Talking and doing fight for the same resources.
Man, come on.
So I let my company do the talking. I don't.
Yes.
So, and it throws people off a little bit when they come in there and they like expect me to, nah, I ain't me. I'm a student. I'm a baby. But plus I didn't build Courtsmith. Our team did. All those people in that office built it. So I'm a contributor to the what has been built so far. So I don't have the right to poke my chest out and be seen. Now I do understand because I'm the youngest of 8, right? So the youngest of 8, you're fighting for attention. You're fighting to be seen, and if somebody rubs the top of your head one more time, you're gonna swing on somebody, right? Because that's the mentality. Like I want to be seen as somebody who is the big kid. So yeah, you have to let that shit go in business, or it will stifle you. It will stumble you because that's going to rear its head at all times. Remember I told you a couple times, like I used to struggle with that, is when I used to have meetings with investors, and the minute I felt like they did like this to me or did this to me intellectually, I'd lose it. And now we're in a battle of me proving how intelligent I am to you. Fuck that. I don't do that no more. I let what I do speak, and I approach a situation with humility. Teach me what you know. You might know more, and I need more nuggets. I'm constantly gathering more nuggets. So I'm not ever going to show up in no space posturing like I got it. If anything, I'll posture like I don't. Because people love to talk. They love to talk when they feel like, oh, this is a teachable moment for you. Yes, give it to me. Half the shit I might already know. Another 1/4 of it I may have already taught. But there's 1/4 of it that shit I didn't know. Huh, that's interesting. Noted. Thank you for that wisdom. Move in that space all the time, and you'll be constantly and people will want to call you and give you game. They want to give you game.
Man. Jesus. Okay. So let me say this first before we get started. Tonight's class, I've wanted to teach it for a year and a half. And I've always held back teaching this class because I felt the climate would hijack it, as well as I also wanted to engage in further observations and see how much this issue actually sits in our space. And I'm going to teach it different than I've ever taught it before. I think you remember Dog versus Wolf, 2 years in a row. You as well. But I'm not going to teach it the way I traditionally taught it because I want to focus on something called competition. So a lot of times the word competition has been hijacked. It's been hijacked by things like in the social justice era of femininity and masculinity. And competition is not that. It's even become demonized as something very ugly about life. And I'm going to challenge that in ways that I'm not sure many of us really understand. The blood, the heart of every business is competition. At the heart of every business is competition. Yet I think many of us don't own the word competition. I think the word competition sometimes is even seen as oppressive, bullying, big person takes small person's position. But tonight I'm going to challenge it in multiple areas. So before we switch slides, this story was created in 600 BC by a philosopher, Aesop. And Aesop had this story of the dog versus the wolf. And before I get into the story, let me say this about philosophy. You know what I've noticed in this newest era of social media explosion is my whole life I was taught to study philosophy to understand life itself. Because life is so complex when you're born in this world. To escape the limitations of your parenting, to escape the limitations of your education, to escape the limitations of your community, it was important that you study philosophy. And philosophy was, here are the principles and rules of how the world around you works. And today, what has replaced philosophy is human feelings. I feel this is right. I feel this is wrong. I disagree. A group of us, you will even see people reference, a large group of us believe this is right. Now, every science in the world can say you're wrong, but even science could come under the pressure of social feelings. Philosophy has always escaped social feelings. When you run a business, quite often you're going to be forced to deal with the realities of life. So what people say, from somebody watching and loving to observe culture, people will say they will move like this, but ultimately result in similar patterns over and over and over again. We may label them different, we may frame them different, we may color them different, but ultimately we're victimized by these same patterns. So one of the reasons I like to study ancient philosophy is because those principles really don't go away. They're really studying the way this world works at its heart. The world doesn't work the way you think it should work, the way you feel it should work, the way you want it to work. I watched my daughter tell me, I don't want to eat these vegetables. I said, I get it, and you may have to eat these vegetables, but please don't believe that life will go the way you want it at all times. It's about learning to build a friction between what you want and the way things really, really work. But often what we want and our feelings can sometimes blind us from the way the world actually works. And I think competition has become a victim of this. Now, here's the original story. So as we get into the story, I'm going to make you guys feel I'm going to get to the heart of what is competition in its most purest form and I'm sure some people are listening to me online as well as in the room, it's not going to be very comfortable. But as I get into it, I'm going to then go into why it's so important that we have ownership of this term competition and the correct ownership. So the original story of the dog versus the wolf was originally designed to highlight agency, which is security and agency cannot sit in the same space. If you seek security, you will surrender agency, which is a statement of freedom, right? Think about this. You sit in America where the historical white Protestant culture controls their agency. Food, clothing, shelter, right? Education, they control it. African Americans, before the social justice movement, we are asking for get out of our way so we can start to develop our own agency, which is control our own destination. In a modern day black movement, we've moved towards arguing and asking for security, reparations, give us, support us, help us, invest in us, right? But understand, like you guys watch this, like after the COVID movement, there was a lot of investment in small black businesses, right? But the trick is, if you ask for security, you surrender agency. And so what we saw with African Americans is that we don't realize a lot of us have been, as we ask for, and here's the thing with agency. Agency comes with higher risk, higher loss. It's much more friction, but that's what freedom requires. So this story is originally a great story for the African American community, and I'll take another day to get into security versus agency and how if you want security, you will surrender agency. I'll get into that another day. But let's tell this story and let's tie it to competition and some of the characteristics of agency versus characteristics of security, which goes into some of your conversations. So there was this dog that walked into a space where this wolf that walked into a space where a dog was in his home, and he saw the comforts the dog had: food, housing. He was well groomed, nice necklace around his neck. He had nice jewelry on. He said, "Oh my God." And he said, "My God, tell me about this." He says, "Yeah, my owner, he provides these amazing things for me." And then he watched it. Then he noticed the chain around the dog's neck, and he walked away. Well, what was Aesop trying to suggest here is when the wolf realized, I like what you have until I realize what you have came with the surrendering of my agency. This is important because I tell a story. I could tell a modern story. I remember when I was hanging out with my mentor maybe 30 years ago, I met this woman who had left her husband. And I asked her, I said, "Why'd you leave your husband?" She said, I asked her for $20 and he said, "What for?" I said, "Wait, what?" She said, "Yeah, because he paid all the bills. He bought all the cars. He paid to get my hair done, my nails done. And one day I decided I wanted $20 and he asked me, what for?" And I felt so disrespected. And I couldn't take her side. I just silenced myself because it was inappropriate for me to use that moment to have a philosophical conversation. But this is what bothered me. You gave up agency a long time ago. Now you're having a conversation about agency today. A lot of times, if somebody tells you to develop agency, it can be insulting to those who have gotten used to security. Imagine you with a guy, you're dating somebody, he goes, "I need you to buy your own stuff." You might think, "Oh, that's really messed up." But what happens when you break up with that guy? Did he give you agency or did he force you to become a slave to security? And this is very important. But there's another layer to this. Is the language of the dog when it comes to the word competition and language of the wolf when it comes to competition is two different languages. The dog can see it sometimes as being somewhat threatening, and the wolf realizes it's just part of my lifeline. Now, I'm going to get into that and give you better descriptions. I gave you a very superficial header, like that clickbait type shit. But now we're about to get into it and get some details. So, Shekinah, you ready to start flowing with me?
Yes.
All right, next slide. All right, let's go.
Competition is a driving force of the biological world. All living things are out to survive and breed as much as possible. This puts them in competition for finite resources like food, status, territory, and mates. This may be between whole species or individuals. The fight for the resources is zero-sum game. The more one individual receives, the less there is for others.
So pause for a second. So all living things, include your business, your family, all living things are in a game of competition. Let me say this again. You as a person, even your human body, all living things are in a space of competition, which also means that it's a zero-sum game. Zero-sum game suggests that at some point the resources will run out. And at some point, those who are not strong enough will take a loss. So like say if we all in this room decided to get into the same business in Oakland, at some point those resources will run out. And the dominant player is the one who won the competition. Now, so keep going.
So competition is inherently harmful to the losers.
Pause. It's harmful to the who?
Losers.
Therein lies that connection to social justice. Social justice is advocated for fragility over strength. So a lot of times in competition, everybody don't get a trophy. That's not how competition works. This is why there was such a huge uproar when they started giving the kids who came in last trophies. Because you're sending the message that does not translate to the way life works. Not the way you want it to work, not the way you feel it should work. But ultimately, in the game of competition, losers will feel like it's unfair. They won't even like it that much. And if they can get on social media fast enough, they can make losing seem more important than winning. Or how to support a lifestyle of the losers. How to protect the losers. Oh my God, not the losers. They can come on magazines and dressing in fashion called loser fashion. Have songs about, oh my God, I'm a loser and guess what? No one sees me. And guess what? I'm still important. Life says, not so much. Keep going.
If a species cannot attain the resources it needs, it will go extinct.
So if it can't retain its resources it needs, it will go extinct. Keep going.
The availability of resources dictates the types and intensity of a competition.
So when things are plentiful, competition goes down. When things are scarce, competition gets real. Gets really real. Now, as we know, winter will come. And when winter comes, will you survive or will you cry like everybody else and go hide? Keep going.
The scarcer the resource, the more aggressive the competition.
So, keep going, next slide. This is like laying the foundation. Go ahead.
Intraspecific competition occurs within species when members fight for the same resource.
Mm-hmm.
For example, male zebras engage in vicious fights over females.
Mm-hmm.
The urge to spread their genes is so strong that losers may die in the process.
Mm-hmm. That, by the way, that's very human as well. Go ahead.
Male zebras will also kill the offspring of rivals.
So wait a minute. You said that the male zebra will even kill the offspring, the children of the rivals? Keep going.
Interspecific competition occurs between species. If they live in the same area and need the same resources, they're forced to compete. Trees in a forest compete to grow the tallest and get to the most sunlight. All species are constantly engaged in both types of competition.
So all species are in this interspecific, especially in your own community, you're in competition. Your own friendships, you're in competition. Competition is at the heart of everything around you at all times. Oh, your kids are in competition. There's constant, the person who doesn't see, Charlie Munger said, win at all times and if all possible, always think about incentives. I would add, win at all times, always think about competition. It is. You don't get to exist without thinking about competition. Keep going.
The distinction is not as clear-cut as it might seem.
Mm-hmm.
Everything a species does impacts others within the same ecosystem. Competition can be direct or indirect. If living things must actively fight each other for a resource, it's direct. If there's no confrontation, it's indirect.
So you could be in competition and not even see your competitor. Your competitor could actually not even be another person. It could be an item. It could be a system. It can be a trend. It can be a device. It could be, there's all kind of things that could be your competition that are not necessarily other human beings. Next slide.
We cannot understand any of the biological mental models without also considering competition.
So you can't understand most mental models, meaning you can't understand strategy in business without understanding without competition. Let me say this one more time. You cannot understand business strategy without understanding competition. If you don't understand competition, your relationship to strategy is trash. And trust me, I barely ever hear business owners in my community articulate the importance of competition. It's almost because competition feel like it's a threat to you not feeling like you're good enough, as opposed to accepting that it's the game you just chose to play. It's like if you join a team and everybody on the team loves you and you're having a great time and you get to show up all the practices and you even get a chance to sit on the bench, you can easily forget you're in competition. And even though we're laughing and joking with each other, if you slip up, one of those players can't wait to take your place. But it ain't personal. Or in competition, I can battle with you all day long, lose, and want to have dinner with you and say good battle. It's not personal. Comparisons are, not competition. Big difference. Let's keep going. Next slide.
Wait, we didn't finish.
So, okay.
we
What's the next slide? What's the next slide? Just
I
real
thought
quick.
we had to read the smaller paragraph under.
Okay.
Right?
Huh? Yeah, so it's real quick. So let me say one thing about this death part of competition. Do you realize that competition destroys the weaker member, but the weaker member must die for the system to be healthy? That means weak businesses have to die for stronger businesses to exist. Have you guys been paying attention to how every time a business goes out of business in the Bay Area, it's news now? Oh my God, this restaurant's closing. Oh my God, this business is closing. Oh my God, this other business is going. Even if that's your business, your death is because you're not strong enough. Now, what follows you is something better, and us as consumers benefit from that. If you want to have a community of bad restaurants, let them be subsidized. If you subsidize a whole bunch of restaurants, subsidize a whole bunch of failures, we will go to restaurants. For example, in the Bay Area right now, the restaurant experience is it's deteriorated a lot. I'm a restaurant person. Kaja, I'm not sure how long you've been in the Bay Area. But it used to be a time, if you spent $200, $300, you had great service and amazing food. Now you get somebody come in and you walk into a restaurant, there's a tone of entitlement. They even turn a tip around for at fast foods, right? A lot of that comes from because we've subsidized so many mediocre businesses, one way or another, for multiple reasons, multiple angles. We didn't let competition run its course. If you have 20 coffee companies and they're not closing anytime soon, or say there are 20 coffee companies in a small area, that means competition is not working. If competition is working, then you will have great restaurants in an area that's be known for their great coffee area, because the great coffee companies destroy the weaker companies. If you run a business and it was strong in the beginning and you didn't make the adjustments to the time, then you start to become the weaker business that must die. So remember there was a guy online that says, I don't believe in supporting black businesses. He was somewhat right. He didn't say he would not support black businesses. This is a black person. He said he's not into this idea of just support black business blindly. Because by supporting black businesses blindly, he is attacking the foundation of competition, which will mean that the black community will develop mediocre businesses. In order for black community to build strong businesses, many businesses have to die. Anybody comfortable with that yet? It's the game we in. So, go to the next slide. When winter arrives, so for example, the black community, not the black business community, who received a lot of money from COVID / the George Floyd era. What happened was the giving us money kind of put us to sleep. So now I'm watching a lot of nonprofits and businesses who are losing funding faster than ever. And they may be good businesses. But when a community receives money really, really fast and they're not engaging in competition, they get a false sense of value. Imagine you being on the Warriors right now, the year they won a championship, and they let you come into the game for a few minutes, but you shouldn't even be on the team. Let's say you're Steph Curry's cousin and you're on the team. And at first you may actually realize I'm not really that good. But if they kind of position you and keep giving you praises and you get media time, and you will start to believe that you're qualified until next year when the playoffs happen and they put you in the first quarter and you realize you're the weakest link. Well, it's not that you couldn't become better, because you could develop yourself. You could play the game. But if you don't know competition exists, it's so easy to develop these. Winter's only successful amongst entrepreneurs. I mean, failed entrepreneurs. You heard the hype cycle, when people go through the hype cycle and they fail. The only reason that is so successful is because they don't understand the variable of competition. Why at all time, everything is defined by competition. If money's coming in really, really fast, your brain should say, this is dangerous. This is not safe. I'm not earning this. I don't even know how good I am. I'm being rewarded, and I can't by no means can I identify how this puts me in a valuable position as far as competition to maintain my position. So when that trend goes away, it's not that the trend failed you, or the market failed you, or nonprofits not giving you no money, or COVID failed you, or the George Floyd era failed you. What failed you was you didn't understand that this game is always about competition. So during George Floyd, do you know how many times I got offered to receive money and I said no? Because I realized I need to keep myself sharp for the game I'm in. Let's keep going, because I'm gonna get into it further. Next slide.
Competition doesn't just occur in biology. It's also the driving force behind many human systems.
So many human systems. You're African American. You're not African American. You're atheist. You're Christian. Christianity is in competition. You know that. Judaism, Islam, all this stuff is in competition at all times. Buddhism, it's in competition. Because if it doesn't understand competition, it won't be around much longer. If you want any human system to stay alive, you have to understand the variable of competition. Keep going.
The upsides of competition is that it forces improvements. Competition is an important concept in business.
So go back to that one second. Let's go back to that sentence. The upside of competition is that it forces improvements. So competition is something you don't fear. It's your lifeline. It's what gives you energy. Most entrepreneurs get our energy from competition, not willpower, not shoulds, not dreaming, not fear. You pull all of your energy, a lot of your energy that gets you up every day and makes you move a certain way, the energy that makes you serious, focused, details, all the stuff that we're doing, the way, if you watch me, watch Court, watch Mashama, the way we move, it's that way behavior is driven by the energy force of competition. But if you write competition in your mind incorrectly, what it does, it becomes this thing that you kind of want to ignore because you just want to focus on, I'm doing a good job and the world should see me for what I'm doing. The world don't give a fuck about you like that. Competition says, matter of fact, relativity, the reason we believe in relativity so richly is because if we don't stay relative to our clients and if we don't compete to be better than our competition, then we don't exist. So that means that the days he gets lazy, he knows he can't because competition is like this. It's always at your door. And then not only the people competition, as trends in industry and technology and intervention and innovation kicks in, that's also his competition, right? If humans decide they want to do something different than they did before, that's competition. And he has to be aware of that at all times. Once he gets to the point that he thinks that he has arrived, he's good enough, he's doing a great job, he's amazing, he is disrupting his pure relationship with competition. Competition says, fuck how you feel about whether you're a good person or a bad person. Tomorrow, they're going to win the game if you don't get your shit together.
That's relativity.
So some of y'all get caught in this like, I feel really good, I don't like this. And I like this, and I'm really uncomfortable with this. And competition says, okay, why are you stuck in this little fucking emotional cycle? Competition's about to pass your ass up. So we got to pull our pants up real fast, tie our belt, and get back to work because in the day, competition's coming. It's our lifeline. Let's keep going.
Companies are constantly fighting for market share. This process is beneficial for consumers because it forces companies to keep prices low and quality high whenever possible.
So pause. That's the sentence I was trying. I saw that one slide. I thought, okay, maybe I missed it. That's the line right there. When businesses die, prices are adjusted for the public. So, for example, you ever been in this place where there was only one business that had one product in one area, and you saw they could just move their prices as they see fit? It was no restrictions, right? If you watch restaurant prices, like you see these restaurants saying, "Oh my God, it's important to give tips so you can help me pay for my staff." No, maybe you shouldn't be in business. Honestly, you shouldn't be in business. If you have to ask me to pay you a tip to take care of your staff, or even shame me to pay a tip to take care of your staff, maybe we got too many restaurants. When you have really high quality restaurants, look, how many tips did you give McDonald's? If somebody can look up on their phone, what was McDonald's at the highest peak of, I think in 2021, 2022, what was McDonald's value? Somebody give me a valuation of their, what was McDonald's at? Scott's gonna look that up. This guy got that serious look on his face, like numbers, I got this one. Where were they at?
I tip the drive. How much do they work?
Yeah, what's their value?
25.92 billion.
$25.92 billion. When was the last time McDonald's hit you with, oh my God, you owe me a tip? Right? What happens is, look in the Bay Area, housing, why is housing prices so high? Scarcity of real estate. Create more real estate, watch prices come down. Right? Once you understand how competition is impacting pricing, service, quality. For example, the reason a lot of black businesses will die in a certain area, if their service doesn't match competitively with their competitors, I don't care what race it is, over time, you're going to suffer from that. That's just how it works. It ain't about black, white, yellow, Asian, whatever, gay, straight. It's about competition. Once you understand how competition works, you don't get to hide behind, but I'm bringing value. I'm doing good things. I work really, really hard. I'm a very intelligent person. I'm highly educated. Competition says, I don't give a shit. And who benefits from that? The consumers. Competition is how you could keep capitalism under control. You remove competition from capitalism, capitalism can become a dangerous animal. So adding social justice values to business makes no sense because that's not how business runs. Look, I can care about your business, But I'm not gonna spend $300 for some tennis shoes. I can go to Nike and get the same shoes for $90 or $80 to $100. Matter of fact, I tell you, this was so crazy. The expensive industry is playing one game, but most clothing companies that come with, like for example, Nike will introduce a pair of shoes for $200, but everybody knows in the retail industry, the sales part of the industry is the biggest part of the industry. It's no longer the value. Like so if I'm selling these to the general market, I'm selling tennis shoes at 180. Everybody knows you can go online and find those shoes for 120, 110, 160, 140, 130, right? Competition's changed the game. It keeps it where it's a friendly market. You want to see yourself get pushed out of the market? Remove competition. Keep going, Shabish. Oh, that's wow. Shakina. By the way, we called Jasadi Jakina when he's reading. Look at here.
Monopolies. When one company dominates an entire market and customers have no other option.
And are discouraged because
And are discouraged because they allow for abuse and create stagnation.
So that's what happens when you have one company controlling a market. It leaves room for that company to create market abuse. Next slide. So I mentioned the first one. Bad businesses must die so the greater businesses can thrive. Competition is not the enemy, it's our energy. I mentioned that. In nature and in business, competition helps you evolve, stay sharp, and thrive. Meaning that if you don't understand competition, you're not evolving. Now, if you understand competition, you realize who you were last year, you can't be the next year. If you truly understand competition, who you were the last year, the reason you can't say that way. So I was talking to somebody earlier this month, and they said, now it's getting hard in business because everybody's starting to steal the way I do, steal from me the way I do business. And I said, no, they're not. They said, well, no, everybody's borrowing, they taking my model, and everywhere you go, it's starting to be spread. I'm starting to see other companies use my model. No, you just don't understand competition. I said, because you don't get to copy and paste what you did every year if you understand competition. Competition says once you're successful, somebody's going to say, oh, I can do that. It's up to you to outrun your competition, not to say, I'm going to come up with this one idea and just protect it at all costs. There's no such thing. There is no such thing. Even if you have your idea and it works, your idea is just going to die to trends alone. Meaning that there's certain things. Think about the car you brought 10 years ago that was all top of the line technology. Now take that car and hold it next to a car today and ask yourself, do you feel the same way? Hell no. I mean, things are always evolving, right? Fashion, food choices, everything is always in evolution. So this whole idea of being complacency is the opposite of competition, right? Competition also says, stay sharp. The thing he said earlier about being humble, if you're not practicing humility and constantly learning and constantly humbling yourself so you can improve the channel that knowledge has to go through to get to your brain, then you don't understand competition. You try to protect that you're right versus wrong, you're smart, you're strong. You don't understand competition. Once you understand competition, you realize your job is not to posture and impress your team to say, I'm the smartest person in the world. Your job is to go find the best possible answer to beat competition. Your job is not to do the things the way you've always done it before. Your job is to adjust to what? Handle competition. Next slide. Now, let's talk about comparisons versus competition. Next slide. Let's get into comparisons. This is because some people asked online and in person, what is the difference between comparisons and competitions? I'm going to take some time and first, let's fix this real quick. So let's read this comparison one first.
Comparisons involve measuring yourself against others, often focusing on personal attributes or achievements.
Mm-hmm.
It can lead to feelings of inadequacy or constant sense of not measuring up, which can be mentally draining and unproductive. When entrepreneurs compare themselves to others, they might lose sight of their unique strengths and goals.
Okay, so that's the first one. So comparison is more of a personal, man, okay, Core's doing that. Okay, oh, that company's doing that too? Okay, well, sure, I need to do something wrong. I need to, It's more of a comparison, a personalized comparison. One of the things I would say comparisons is horrible to black people is if we can learn to move from comparison and competition, we can get this engine rolling. A lot of times we're looking at white people and where they are in society and where we are in society, and we think it's the same thing. It's not. Let me show y'all. How many of y'all would think that, how much you think we've grown since the 60s? 5%, 10%, 20%, 40%. Like things have gotten better. How much better? You say, spit in percentage. How better have things got since the 60s? Can you guys just call out numbers? Scream out some numbers real quick.
10%.
10%? You said 30? Okay. 5%? Anybody else? 45%? Okay. Well, you didn't clear my. You said 3%? Probably the closest answer. It's worse than that, by the way. So let me give you some numbers real quick. In 1960, we had 11 million black people in America. We have 40 million now. We have 11 million black people in America. We own 1 to 1.5% of American wealth. Right? In 1960. Today we at 41 million. We at 14% of America. And by the way, white people back then owned majority of the wealth back then. Today they have 58%, they own 85% of the wealth. So they have 58% of America, they own 85% of the wealth. Black people who are at 14+%, and we have quadrupled our size in America, now own 3.5% of the wealth. So with all the optics that have gotten better, the number's not the same. You say, well, what about this? More black people have more stuff. In the 60s, there were a class. There was this big discussion of how there was a middle class black group. So when white people did white flight, black people had middle class black people also flew too. They was like, we out too. And majority of blacks were, guess what? Still in the hood. Today, the same flight and mathematics still apply, where you have a certain percentage of black people going, man, our life feels good because we hang around other middle class people. But percentage-wise, you do the numbers, a lot of optics have changed. So then you go online and you see how other people are living, and first thing, you feel depressed about your life because you're comparing to other people's lives. Like, man, they living like this, man. So some of y'all feel worse when you're actually living better than you realize. But you feel worse about your life because you're doing comparisons. But two, also, you don't realize how much work you got to do because you watch white people making progress and you think because you're American, you're making the same progress. No, you're not. This is why comparisons are dangerous, because they're full of distortions and multiple complex distortions. You got to understand what is your challenges, what are your journey, and what race you're running. And if you say that, then even if you got to the point where you just open up a store, you was a store clerk, you may have the best life you've ever had because for you climb 40 to 400 steps. But if you're constantly looking at Mark Zuckerberg, you climb 400 steps and still feel like, I ain't did shit. I feel horrible about myself. You see the difference? Mm-hmm. So comparisons often can shrink your growth, your value. You may get to the point where you climb so high that when your students stand on when your children stand on your shoulders, they're graduating from the top universities and building another level to the family existence. But you started the journey. But because you're doing comparisons, you undervalue, you underpurpose, and as you climb, you're still fucking depressed because you've been doing comparisons. Next slide. Competition.
Competition, on the other hand, is about striving to be the best in your field or market.
Mm-hmm.
It's an external drive to innovate, offer better products or services, and improve continuously. Healthy competition can drive growth and push you to achieve your business's full potential.
So let me tell you a story of competition versus comparison. Apple and BlackBerry. When BlackBerry had the market under control, it did what it did really, really well. And one of the things was security and mail and email communication. It had it on lock. But BlackBerry started paying attention to Apple and tried to do comparisons as opposed to just doubling down. We will build the best email communication, text communication device in the world. We won't be able to compete with Apple, but we're going to have the security. So if you work for government, you work for this, we're going to lock that market down, right? But what they did was they did comparisons, said, oh, you guys have a screen? We're going to have a screen too. And they look like fools because that's not their game. It's like a basketball player looking at a football player and then try to train like the football player because they're jealous of how many girls that football player is attracting and realize they train in a way that made them ineffective in their sport. When you're doing comparisons, you got to figure out what lane are you in, what is your strength, and run your race. If there's another company that has the same name as, for example, let's say Shakina has a gym and she has this technique of training that is her style of training that attracts her customer. And let's say a guy comes up on a block and he has, man, his gym is popping, the glass, music popping, and she sees the building full and she starts to adopt his ways. Not only does she lose her market, but because that's not her game, he will literally take her business because she now shrunk her business to get into his game and she's not the best at that game. That's comparisons. Competition is you run your race. Comparison is trying to do what other people do to make money. You see the difference? That's a big difference. And then often when those cross over, they become toxic. Very, very toxic. Men, women, we're not in competition with each other. Why are we comparing ourselves to each other? Doesn't even make no sense. We're ultimately gifted in our own lanes. We have our own existence of competition, but when we start saying, oh, well, women do this and men do this and women, the reason I can't even embrace these conversations is because we have different value to add to this life. You don't want the fastest way to feel weak about yourself, position yourself in a game you're not good in. If you really want to feel weak about yourself, let you be really strong in this one area. Let you be super strong in this one area. And then tomorrow, go hang out in areas that just no interest of yours. You're going to feel like you're not good enough. I feel like I'm not good enough because at my last job, maybe you had a job you shouldn't be at. Maybe you're going for a job you should be going for. So once you understand this comparisons and competition and positioning and all these different variables that play around, competition and comparisons are not the same thing. Competition is, this is the lane I'm running in. I'm a track runner, so I run a 50-yard dash. There's cats who run the 800. I don't train with them. I don't want to be the fastest athlete in the world. I got to be the fastest athlete in my lane. Once I think I'm doing something else that I don't do, then I will be embarrassed at track meets that I'm at because I'm running a race that I don't own. Where y'all go wrong in life is some of y'all become poorly developed. You poorly use your resources. Your brain is full of noise because you try to be good at everything. That's not what you're designed for. Figure out what is your race. Next slide. So let's get into how competition challenges comfort and complacency in entrepreneurship. Y'all ready to have some fun with this one? We'll get to some details. Yes.
There's one. Yeah, that one.
You said what happened? Oh, okay. So let's go back. He messed up on the slide. So let's before we get to the next slide. It's okay. It's Jewish sorry. It's a Jewish sorry. Go ahead. So well, y'all understand me and Josh's relationship. Oh, it's real. Go ahead. Okay.
How to separate them.
Okay. Mindsets of the two. Let's go.
Mindset. Comparison is often about looking sideways at others, while competition is about looking forward to improving yourself and your business.
So when you're in competition, you can't even move. You can't move linear in your growth because you're too busy shifting left and right to be accepted, to be valuable. That's comparisons, right? Oh, you got these shoes. Why do you give a shit about what shoes I'm wearing? Why do you give a shit what car I'm driving? Right. That ain't got nothing to do with your journey. And matter of fact, you are poorly using resources and you're poorly managing your resources because you're constantly in comparisons. Competition says, what do I need to be doing? Where do I need to be investing my money? What's my move to carve out my market share? Next slide. Next slide. Next, go back. Yeah, go ahead.
Focus. With comparison, the focus is on others' success or failures, which can lead to envy or discouragement. Competition focuses on your own growth and market positioning.
So when you're looking at other people, let's say if you were in the clothing industry, and you were selling to, like, say, baseball teams, and let's say court is like 40 steps in front of you. If you're constantly looking at him, you can turn to envy. It can turn into bad business strategy. It can turn into discouragement. Like, why am I even in this game? Right? But competition says that's not how it works. What do you do really, really well, and continue to pull that lever and figure out what your value offer and your value alignment is to the customer, not how do you look like other people in your industry. Last.
Outcome. Comparisons can result in negative self-worth and stagnation,
Mm-hmm.
while competition can foster innovation and improvement.
That's the big difference. So let's say this again. Comparison can result. I'm trying to read the screen. My damn, so that's what no problem. Comparisons can result in negative self-worth and stagnation. The key word is stagnation. While competition can foster innovation and improvement. So let's get into forces. Let's get into how competition challenges comfort zones and complacency in entrepreneurship. So that's next slide.
Forces re-evaluation of
Next slide. Josh. No, go to forces. There you go. Lord, Josh, I don't know. You must have been drinking last night. Go ahead. New beard and shit. Okay, whatever, man. Go ahead. It ain't the same. Well, remember back in the day, there was like a couple weeks ago or last month, Josh was like, now he's like, this one, that one, oh my God, this hangover. This one, but go ahead. Yeah, oh, ancestral trauma. That's so Jewish. Go ahead.
When competitors Oh Lord. When competitors innovate or improve, entrepreneurs are forced to revisit their own standards. Products, services, customer care, pricing, and efficiencies. What was good enough yesterday might not be good enough today.
So that's number one. It forces reevaluation of our standards. So whatever standards you have, if you understand competition, you're always reevaluating your standards. You don't never, ever say, this is how we do business. What the fuck you mean this is how we do business? If the market doesn't align with that, you're always adjusting. So because of that, you're going to always ask yourself, what was good yesterday will not be good today. I don't give a shit what. Me and Mashama had this one rule. If we are the same place we were last year, we have failed the company. Every year we had to improve on who we were the year before. We don't get to bask in celebrating. We did a great job, so now we're going to just copy and paste. That's failure. In business, that's failure. You have to constantly improve. You don't get to ever sit back and look at your history and be like, look at me. It's what have I done for the market lately? Go ahead.
What did you guys use as tracking metrics to compare yourselves to for the previous years?
Oh, we would evaluate what we're changing, but we would always have a conversation on how can we improve this? Constant improvement is a constant conversation. Remember I told you strategy is not something you just talk about one time when you recognize a problem. Strategy is how you talk. Strategy is how you move. We're constantly improving. We're looking from software to us developing our skills to our learning. The reason I'm able to teach this class is because that's how we move as a business, which is, I know you're not here to, and then also I will call it out. He'll call it out. If I came in the next year and like, yo, so we did the same thing we did last year again, he's not having that. Same thing for him. If your skills, I remember one time, one of our photographers was doing photos and the market was loving it. And then the second year came around, the photos looked the same. And I pulled him aside and said, say, man, reinvent yourself. I don't want to see the same shit no more. Anybody's, damn, Nana. Well, you want to be here 5 years from now? Because competition says you keep doing that shit, you're going to be the OG real fast. Old school photographer. That's an old school photographer, old school marketing company, old school GM, old school team uniforms. You see what can happen real easy? The way you avoid the word becoming the old school, the outdated, where the new guy's taking your place, that's called competition. That means you don't get to protect your standards. They're always in evolution. Keep going, next one.
Example, a local bakery might be content with its regulars until a new spot opens with online ordering, better ambiance, and vegan options. Suddenly, just having good cookies isn't enough.
How many times have you seen that? A spot that was hot, and then somebody came to town and some hipster came to town, built the place way nicer, way better, with more options, online options. You can be at home now, they deliver. Cool little box, how they wrap it. And then you could one day decide to go back to that old spot. You're like, he's gonna put it on the plate. You're not gonna wrap. You're not gonna give it a special napkin. You're not gonna do any of that stuff. Now that's how we always done it. Oh, okay, well, bye. And I do mean bye. That's what competition says. It doesn't give a fuck. Next slide.
Disrupts the illusions of security.
Okay, this is the one. This is the one right here. This is the one that gets on my fucking nerves when people talk about I'm entitled, they should stay around. Go ahead.
Complacency often comes from the illusion that market share, customers, or success is guaranteed.
So wait a minute, that illusion that customers, success, and market shares are guaranteed, I can't tell you how many people talk to me from new businesses to older business, even corporations and businesses. Bart just went through that shit. Bart for years said, Bart, we're never going anywhere. Recently, if you listen to the market, they're saying, I don't know. Don't know. Because people are not writing Bart like that no more. One thing called COVID, and guess, once you buy, you see government, you see everybody. A city's in competition. Do you realize Baltimore used to be a number one city in the United States? It's not no more. There was a city in Mississippi that was one of the top cities in the United States. Not no more. New Orleans used to be the capital of economics in the United States. Not no more. San Francisco, San Jose, don't think you're not. When you see city government running a city without understanding competition, they fall under the illusion of security. This is why I work for the government. They'll always be around. That's not what competition says. You may have a slower cycle of competition, but you're always faced with competition. Keep going.
Competition reminds entrepreneurs that customers have choices and loyalty is earned continually.
Meaning customers are not your friends. I used to tell Shakira this back in the days. Customers are not your friends. Why did I tell her this? Not because I'm going to say, fuck you and your friends. What I was trying to tell her is that you don't want to move like your customer is your friend, which means you could assume loyalty. Every time you see your customer, are you earning loyalty? If you're not working on earning their loyalty, you are literally slow. You are being caught. Competition is about to catch your ass. If a customer says, man, I went to this new gym and they doing this, and you go like, they my friend, they not going to go anywhere. Oh, okay. Okay, go ahead. Let's keep going.
Think of it like this. Comfort says, people know my name. Competition whispers, but do they still care?
Did you hear that line? It says, comfort says, people know my name. Oh, they know who I am. Come on, they know. Everybody knows 510 Media. Come on. But competition says, but do they still care though? Does new generation care? Does new person care? Does new migrant person just came to Oakland? This person just migrated to Oakland. Do they care? Does this new market care? Does new business that just opened up that bringing in all these new employees, do they care? Like that competition tells you, nah, you can't ever assume they care. You got to always be seeking. You don't get to sit in a comfortable space. This is important to know. There is no security in the real world where competition exists. If you have a job right now, those of you who have a job that's listening right now, you ever seen somebody graduate from high school and they was most popular, and then they went to the real world and it fucked them up that no one gave a fuck about them?
Damn, homie. In high school, you was a man, homie.
That is really a thing where people really get to a point where they forget, like you think you're entitled to love. No, you're always in competition. Get married with somebody and move like that you got the illusion of security. Have kids and think you have the illusion of security. Watch when your kids get older. They'll let you know it was an illusion. It was an illusion, dog. I'm out. Fucking with you. Once you understand competition, those of you who don't understand competition, you move with entitlement. And entitlement is the opposite of competition. You know, oh, we have love. We have friendship. We know each other. We're close. Oh, my God, look what I've done for you in the past. I was there for you when you were down. Competition says, I don't really give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. Don't give a fuck. I remember Sears, back in the days, did a lot of amazing things. I promise you. If you go back to this, think about a company that's closed, a big company that you used to interact with. They did a lot of amazing things. Until Amazon came along, I didn't give a fuck no more. I'm keeping it 100. I was fucking with Sears and JCPenney's, Walmart, Macy's. And then I was like, well, let's see if Amazon got it. Oh, shit, Amazon got it? Okay, here you go. That's called competition. And even Amazon has to keep it. If Amazon gets too comfortable and AI makes a better version of that, I'm going to the new AI version of whatever this is. Because even though Amazon's giving me some of the greatest deals, solve some of my greatest problems, competition says, what have you done for me since I last thought about it? Meaning that in the last few days. And if you're not aligned with that, you don't understand competition. You're in business over here thinking that it's an opportunity to express your value and people will celebrate you because you work hard. Next slide. Go ahead. Go back to slide.
That paragraph that's right there, I feel like I know the answer to this, but I want to be sure. What's the difference between this and like what you've described as the natural churn of customers and business?
With the natural churn, you're always in a natural churn. You don't never escape a natural churn, right? But in natural churn, you're always appealing to, so for example, let's say 30-year-olds love you, right? But the 30-year-olds don't stay 30 forever, right? They turn 32, 33, 34, 35. So you got to speak to the next 30-year-olds, right? The next 30-year-olds. You don't have no customer loyalty. Churn is competition and churn are married. You're not only that, that's a form of competition, age. Age is a competition in your business, meaning that your customers are getting older, so don't act like they're going to be around talking about, yeah, we still playing hip-hop from the 90s. They're leaving. Now you got to play hip-hop from 95 to 2000s, now 210s, 220. Because if you want to say in business, if you're saying, oh, we play old school is relative to that generation that you're serving. So if you're always trying to rock 70s old school, they're looking at you like, dog, this is my great-grandmother's music. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Right? But for that person, 2010 is old school for them. They're like, man, that's some old school shit. You're like, that's new to you. But if I'm in competition, I understand there's a natural churn to just trend, age, all kind of, there's so many variables you got to keep in mind when you're running a business that your strategy, this is what I hate the most is when people go into closed rooms without windows and work on master strategies that sound so good. I mean, when you read it, you're like, oh my God, this shit's mind blowing. But they don't realize that competition is going to fuck over half of that shit. It just is. And you can't see it as a necessary evil. You got to see it as it gives you energy of why you need to change and you can't fall into the illusions of security. It's a force that's driving you to move. This is when remember I told Fern a long time ago, you got to get more serious. What I was saying is, hey, you're not taking in that energy of when competition's in you, you don't get to get comfortable. You don't even get the chance to brag long enough. You're like, cool, we did a good job. All right, so next week, what are we going to be working on? Because you realize competition doesn't get. You ever, like, I was watching my daughter play soccer, and the team would score. I thought it was the dopest thing that they did. The team would score, and while the team was trying to celebrate, the coach, all right, ball's up, and he throw the ball in again. Meaning that, oh, what you celebrating for? The game's still going. I said, damn, that's a prime example of how competition works. I mean, like, when you get that win, you don't get to hug, drink, and party. Oh my God, we did hella good. None of the game's still playing, baby. Let's go. Because competition don't sleep. And there's many forces. Competition is multiple forces. There's multiple forces in the universe that's expressing competition. All right, let's go next slide.
Stimulates innovation and
risk taking. Ooh, I like this part. Keep going. Let's read this one.
Facing real competition pushes entrepreneurs to think differently, solve problems faster, and take smart risks they might have avoided in a comfortable space.
So when you don't understand competition, you're constantly seeking business comfort. How can I just do the thing that makes, I just need a comfortable day. Matter of fact, if you have too many comfortable days as an entrepreneur who understands competition, you're scared. You know you let the boogeyman in the house, you just don't know where it's at. Literally, it's a scary ass. When I get too comfortable in my business, I'm like, something has to be fixed, broke, or changed because competition doesn't allow me to sit there. You're not crazy, because trust me, although you don't see it, if you act like it's not coming, if it's not going to show up at your front door, I promise you, the more comfortable you get, the more it will capture your position and destroy you. Keep going.
Example, Netflix didn't get complacent with DVD rentals. When streaming became viable and competitors loomed, they risked cannibalizing their own business to stay ahead.
Meaning that, let's say tomorrow, so for example, Vitamin cannibalized our own business. Our original business was photography and designs, and that was it. We get very little money from photography and designs. Most of our money comes from strategy. We cannibalized our business because we realized competition of cell phones, competition of AI was coming, competition of technology. I was saying this in my photography classes, like, hey, if you think you're gonna be able to take pictures and stay in this game and not be able to make some adjustments and shit to survive, what I used to tell photographers is you must master the game of art because this tool may not give you a special place for long. Meaning, you can learn. I love photography, and I still love photography, but I understood the threat it was under competition. So even if you love something, it doesn't matter. Competition says, fuck off, you gotta go. And as a business, you gotta always be thinking about, do I need to change my business before competition says you better change your business? Then it's too late. You gotta be able to sense where is the forces, where's the movement in society, where's the energy at, and how do I plug my business into that energy and exploit opportunities? But if you're so busy trying to focus on just being better and being excellent at what I do all the time and just focusing on getting it right and waiting for acceptance and approval and my customers to celebrate me for being such a hard, excellent, hard, perfect worker, competition's like, oh yeah, and we taking your position, and they don't do as good, and they're not excellent. They're not even the best. But they understood that they were innovating while you were practicing on being perfect. Keep going.
Reveal
Next slide.
blind spots.
Okay, so this is a oh, so for those of you who don't see your own blind spots, I need help seeing my blind spots. It's not because you need help seeing your blind spots, it's because you don't understand competition. Let's go.
When you're not being pushed, it's easy to overlook insufficiencies or outdated practices. Competition exposes those weaknesses and pressures entrepreneurs to fix them before someone else exploits them.
So a lot of times your weaknesses becomes something another company can actually build on to build their businesses. Working hard day in and day out and going to sleep and coming to work every day stops you from seeing your blind spots. But the only reason you work like that, because you don't understand competition. If you understand competition, you know you better carve some space to figure out what you could be doing better as much as possible. Otherwise, here's the thing, and don't think you can identify competition all the time. Sometimes there are 7.5 million people in the Bay Area that are making decisions every day that you don't have any access to their thinking. None. There's money moving around the Bay Area you can't even see, and it's billions, if not trillions of dollars moving around the Bay Area. If you think your space of success is going to be protected because you're a good person, you work really hard and you really invest a lot of energy to this, and you're serious and you're strong, and it's like that guy who says, I'm the baddest man in the city. I always thought, who in the fuck taught you that dumbass illusion? There's no such thing. If a stray bullet hits your ass, you're dead. Like this, these are illusions that our brain can be like, I'm the baddest person, I'm the baddest person, I'm the greatest, I'm the strongest. Competition says, no, you're not. You're only strong as long as you're strong. Once you stop being strong, you're no longer strong. Because life is already producing a better version of you right now. And the only way you're going to beat that person is if you understand the rules of competition and follow them with seriousness. But once you start thinking, no, I'm doing, I got paid really well. You get caught up in the illusion of getting paid, illusion of hard work, illusion of focus, illusion of commitment, illusion of excellence, illusion of perfection. Competition can come around and be like, and you lost. You lost. Next slide.
Keeps the entrepreneur hungry and humble.
There goes that wolf coming out. The entrepreneur, that entrepreneur has to stay hungry and humble. Let me say again, Court gave y'all so much fucking game, and some of y'all was like, I don't get this. This is crazy. When you're in the wild, this competition, the difference between the wild, when you're in corporate America, competition can take on the meaning the corporate wants to provide it to have for you. And you're in the wild, you cannot not see competition. And so that humility and that hunger for knowledge and growth I can tell how much you understand competition based upon your practice habits. If your habits are weak, you're fighting for status. If your habits are strong, you understand competition. Let me say this again. If your habits are weak and you're in business or you're doing well in life, you're focusing on status. You're blinded. You're sidetracked. If your habits are strong, that means you fucking understand competition. Because competition says you ain't never going to be smart enough. You ain't going to never get the perfect problem that fits your studies. Like you gotta become a generalist. You can't even afford to be a specialist as if you're in competition because you don't know who or what's going. It's almost like when you hear about when people go to space, they have to learn so much shit that seems irrelevant because they don't know what they're about to experience. Well, when you're an entrepreneur, it's the same thing. Competition says, I don't know where the fuck my next enemy is coming from. It could be another animal. It could be the cold air. It could be the lack of water. It could be the death of my prey. It could be whatever the fuck it's coming from. I got to figure out how to survive out here. The reason the dog doesn't think like that because, they don't, food's coming. Food's coming. Food's coming. So you develop a dull relationship with competition. Yeah, you may have competition in your office, but it's dull. This is why you go home. It's dull. But those of us in the wild, who are surviving, you see an entrepreneur who's been around for a long time and been dominating the industry, they don't know what dull is. It's not something that they would actually feel uncomfortable about. It feels like gluttony or something. You overeat and it hurts, right? That's what dull is to us. We have to always be hungry and humble. And what else can I learn? What else can I learn? And like you flipping over every piece of paper like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about, because you realize competition. Read the slide. Or read the slide. Don't change the slide. Read it. Just gonna read the slide.
Success without pressure can lead to entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
Competitors keep you grounded. They remind you that the game is still on and that continuous learning and improvement are part of the job.
This is why we created this fucking class. If you understand business, you got to be in a class. You're not in this class to learn how to run the business to be successful. You're in this class because you realize it's the nature of an entrepreneur to constantly improve and learn and grow and sharpen your skills. Keep going. Next one.
Other impacts.
So now we're going to get a couple more impacts of business. I'm flowing fast because I want to get into these impacts and also leave a little time to have a conversation at the end. Let's go.
Value proposition clarity. Competition forces you to answer the hardest questions. Why should a customer choose you?
So real quick, competition tells you, are you very clear? Do you have clarity on why the customer is choosing you? Me and Mashama have this is a conversation we have all the time. Are we aware why customers are choosing us? Are we also aware why customers are not choosing us? Are we having those conversations? Or are we drunk in the customers who have chose us? Be clear about this. Because you get drunk on the ones who chose you and don't know how to get to the ones who want to choose you. Big difference. Keep going.
Before I continue, can you clarify that?
So drunk is, let's say, man, I've always been good at this. People always love me. I've always been great. But see, you're not in this business thing, you're dating new people all the time and getting them to fall in love with you. So your moves that was great when B Street was around, Prince was at his 1999 album, don't work in 2025. Doesn't even translate. So if you just watch any video on like, this is how he's doing in the 90s, this is how he doing in the 1980s, this is how he was doing in the 2000s, I do 2010s, 20s, and then so forth, so on. You realize human desires, everything is changing. Is your business changing just as fast? So standing on business is not standing on business is in a constant movement. You're constantly changing. That's standing on business. Standing on business is not going, this is what I'm gonna do. And this is how we're gonna run business. That means you're only gonna be a trend business. As long as that trend is hot, you'll be around. When that trend ends, so shall you. That means you gotta constantly be in a motion. I mean, you're constantly trying to line up to the customer you're trying to serve and not resting on your past successes. Because if that's the case, Sears had, if you look at their past successes, was crazy. It was crazy. I'm talking about they were the Amazon of America for the longest until they weren't. Just that simple. Macy's is closing right now. Macy's for years was the go-to hub for clothing for almost most Americans. Until it's not. Because the next generation goes, hey, Mom, what's this Macy's shit y'all be going to? Them OGs still go to Macy's? It's just literally it's just that fast. We don't shop at Macy's. We shop at whatever. Do you, like, now mind you, you watch some of these companies who died, they just literally mutated the business to another kind of business. They're over here now. The same owners, they over here. They've been sold Macy's off and said, we're going to jump on this opportunity because that's no longer. So you might, oh, they're gone. No, they're not. They're not gone. That particular business is gone, but they're now over here because they realize this is where the trend is at. And because we have expertise, because we're not doing comparisons, we're doing kind of what we do best, we can actually adopt to this and kill this market. You guys get that? Okay, keep reading that slide.
You have to refine your unique value, whether it's price, quality, purpose, convenience, or customer experience.
So you don't get to treat your prices, your quality, your purpose, your convenience, or your customer experiences as your personality. This is just who I am. None of that's just who you are. Everything can change based upon, well, these are my prices are my prices. Depends what the market says, based on competition. Everything will have to adjust based on, you don't get to hold down the way you've been doing business forever because competition says that's not a thing. This is what we kill. I promise you, these are conversations I hear all the fucking time. And I see what people are like, no, but you gotta, no. It's because I understand competition. Competition says, fuck your life. Fuck your beliefs. And if you want to hold on to them, you must die so better ideas can exist. People will study your failures and say, don't do that. don't do that no more. Whatever that person did, you just know not to do that. And people will innovate and go, I know I can do better. And then that becomes a new standard. And then somebody comes on, I can do better. And that becomes a new standard. No standard gets to be the standard forever. That means you don't get to lock down your standards and don't personalize. You can't personalize your business standard. Your standards are designed to all move or adjust based upon your relationship to the market and your competitive leadership. Next slide.
Customer loyalty and retention. When competitors offer similar products or services, customers have options. This makes retention strategies like personalization, community building, and customer service just as critical as acquisition.
So what it's saying, let me help you with this. This is a great one here. So it's saying when you gain your customers, it's cheaper to spend money to keep them than it is to acquire new customers. Every time you acquire a new customer, the cost of getting a new customer is much more expensive than protecting relationships you already have. So part of protecting relationships you already have is not protecting them by assuming we are friends and you're loyal to me, is I can get better feedback from them to figure out how to serve them. I can listen to them because I have a relationship. I can call them and say, hey, what do you think about that service, John? Court, like say Court's your customer. Hey, Court, listen, last week you was in my store. Tell me what I could have done differently. How could I improve on your services? What are you used to now? What's your experience? Or just in a casual conversation, like, Court, what you do this weekend? Oh, yeah, I went out on a vacation. Oh, where'd y'all go? We went here. Oh, man, I went to this restaurant and they did da-da-da-da-da-da. Court just expressed something I didn't know about him. Or a new trend happens where, hey, right now, this is new hyphy movement and Kai's in Oakland like this. New opportunity there. Hey, new political movement happening in Oakland. New opportunity. You have to constantly be seeking new ways to evolve protect your relationship with your customers. That's your number one priority over constantly recruiting new customers and then underserving the ones you have and then realize that's a losing battle. Competition means that you have to retain what you have and then while still trying to gain more. No, not just retain what you have and that's all you have. You got to work both sides of that. It's like two pistons. One piston is saying, I got to get new customers, and the other piston is saying, I got to protect who I have. But the protection of your customers is number one over acquiring as opposed to acquiring over protection of your customers. Guys get that part?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Next slide. This is competition here, baby. Let's go.
Branding and positioning. Competition shapes how you present yourself in the market. You're not just selling a product, You're creating a brand narrative that stands apart.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the premium option, the budget solution, the culturally relevant voice?
So, let me get into this real quick. So, your brand is your business personality. How do people see your business as a personality? As what do you represent to the market? You not only do you have to be very clear on establishing that brand, because if your job is, I just got shit in my store, or I just got services to provide, then you're like dollar stores. Like, I could go in that motherfucker, but it's just too much shit. You ever go to Macy's and they used to have that this discount area where they had all that shit? What's it called? What's it called? Yeah, Backstage. It's called Backstage at Macy's. I remember I walked over there one time when, oh hell no. It was intimidating because it's like going to Ross. It's too much shit. It's just too much shit, right? It's just Ross in itself. It only has a lifespan before people's like once somebody organizes that better. That's just too much. Like this right here, shoot, and then imagine those days. Okay, that's cool when you find that special piece. That's cool when you find that discounted piece. Well, why when you go there 4 or 5, 10 times in a row and don't find shit, and you've been 3 hours in there? Like, at what point do you realize this ain't adding up? Math ain't mathing, right? So you got to be very clear. What is your brand? How do you leverage that position as a brand? When you understand competition, that means you also invest in your branding. You invest in your market. When I see a business say, "Oh, we don't do marketing," I'm like, "Oh, so you just think you just got the space? Or you just going to just show up and because you're the best? Huh? You're the hardest worker?" And they go like, "Oh my God!" Right? You think that the older generation is going to tell the next generation, "Hey, by the way, hey, look, when y'all get older, make sure you go to Pinpoint. I know that's where we go. We're going there for generations. And if you want to be part of my family," no, they don't. They don't. So if you're not driving marketing, you are moving under the assumption that you don't have competition. It's all about just your hard work. Next slide.
That's funny. Market timing and adaptability.
Mm-hmm.
Being aware of your competition sharpens your timing, when to pivot, when to launch, when to scale, or when to pause. Competition becomes a signal for action or restraint.
So once you understand competition, you also understand time differently. So for example, let's say you're working on a project and you get just procrastinating. That means you don't understand. Okay. So I was telling somebody on my team, I can't remember what I was talking about. And I was like, they asked me that, I think I was talking to you. And she said, where does business sit and art sit? I said, when business and art come together, what is that? I said, it's called professional. I said, the reason it's professional is because if you want to understand competition, you realize that businesses have timelines, right? As well as people. Everybody has timelines. And you're in a market where you're not moving with understanding the importance of timelines. Or even, I remember one time, I remember back in the days, Michelle was like, "Yo, we'll get back to you next week with a price." I said, "Man, if you don't get this motherfucker price by tomorrow, I swear to God." Because that means you get that person enough time to go call other people because it's competition. No. I want to flood your brain with the 5T media experience that you don't have time to think about competition. I'm going to overwhelm your brain to the point that by the time you think about competition, you have an honest comparison of, 5T media, I like this experience. Even if there's other better companies, I got to make sure, right? But if you don't understand time, it's really easy for you to think, well, it's going to take me 2 weeks to get, I don't give a fuck how long it's going to think you're going to take you. You got to realize because you're in competition, you need to respond to that customer or shut down the way. If you tell a customer the project will be done on Thursday, you don't get to say, well, Thursday this happened, I'm giving it to you on Friday. Because if you understand competition will give them a lesser quality product on Wednesday and you're dead in the water. And the customers be like, man, fuck this, fuck that high quality shit. I take that low quality shit because I can hit my timelines and meet my requirements, which keeps me alive. But sometimes we think quality over time or expertise over time. We don't realize, no, we're plugging into a world where people have timelines. And that means that if you're going to be able to ward off competition, you got to understand how to best position yourself with time to compete with other competitors. Otherwise, even in my industry, if I don't have a certain angle on designs, because we still have a design branch and photography branch to our business, I got India sitting over there going, "Oh, we'll take that business if you don't. If you want to fuck around, give me $5. I do what I do for thousands of dollars. Now it may be worse quality, but if India can land it and hit it on time and at least hit their basics, I could lose my business to India. So I got to not only perform to align with the market, but I have things that I can have angles that India cannot compete with me on, and I got to pull that lever. I can't now. Here's a comparison weakness. If I would compare myself to India and start working on fast conveyor belt designs, I would lose to my local competitors. So I got to learn how to, this is the lane I'm in, this is the value, and when I mean lane, not the lane I feel I'm in, based upon my incentivized relationship to my customer, this is my lane. Once I understand that lane, I know how to pull that lever and stay aligned with my customer, where competition may come with these new fast hacks, but it doesn't align with my customer true need. Like sometimes you'll think your number one job is to solve your customer's problem. Let's say you're in a service role. That's not your number one job. Now you're trying to force your ideas on your customer, and you don't understand the competition. Competition might be killing you. You know why? Because they come in and help the customer take one step. If you want to be honest, that's all the customer was able to do anyway. You got 10 steps for customer. Customer's like, I don't budget for this shit. I don't know if I have time. Got this shit coming up. I don't even know 10 steps. I even want to take the 10th step down the road. But once you say, okay, if I'm competitive, then how do I become the most valuable customer? How do I become the most valuable client to my customer based upon my relationship to my competition? And if I make my customer feel like every time I show up, they're able to take a step they couldn't take before, I'm much more valuable than the person who walks in a room who wows me with brilliant ideas and swagger and charisma and charts and documents, and I still didn't take a step. And I promise you, some of y'all will go in and create the documents and the reports and the slides and the draw shit on a board and display the use of language like motherfucking Harvard would be proud of you. And yet you didn't serve your customer because you don't really understand competition. And you'll say, well, other people think we're oppressive when we do our designs. Yeah, but are you aligning yourself to run in the game of competition as opposed to be impressive? That's two different things, and one can make you non-competitive. Next slide.
Pricing power and profit margins. If your competitors can offer a similar product cheaper, you're forced to either compete on cost, which may lower profit margins, or compete on value, which demands more investment in quality or experience.
So remember I said raise your prices? Some of y'all raised your prices but kept your services, skills, or your products equal to your competitors, and you lost. If you raise your prices, you got to raise your value. If you want to if you want to just have if you want to just have a market position carved out and not have a much more valuable product or service, that means then you'll be in price competition, and that's just, it is what it is. That's a formula. Next slide.
Team culture and internal discipline. A competitive market creates internal urgency. It encourages focus, sharper execution, and strategic discipline across your team. We're not just playing to play, we're playing to win.
Let me be very clear. You're not my friends. We're employees. We're here to win. Be very clear. We're not playing this game. We're not in business to play. We're here to whoop their ass. We're here to smoke competition. That means if my team is not practicing or my team is bullshitting, I'm already planning on getting rid of you because you're going to hurt our team. My team will tell you, am I like this? Hey, we can laugh and joke as long as you understand this shit is serious and the goal is to win. But if you're in my office and you think we're here to play, and I don't hire friends like that. I'm not here to be mentoring, not in business. I'm here to say, y'all ready to battle? Because if you don't snipe these motherfuckers and I get shot 3 or 4 times, I'm not gonna let you shoot me again. It's not gonna happen again. I'm gonna find a sniper that can handle the business, because then I gotta win. I'm not here to subsidize you, and if I have to carry your load, let me use my African interpretation. Fuck you. That's where I
I mean,
stand.
you know the rules of the game.
Fuck you. I'm so serious. Like, that's a. It's. You remember when Court said this is a gladiator sport, and some of y'all thought he was being using his machismo flex. When you're in a game of winning, it's a serious fucking game. I don't give a shit about your trauma, what you've been through. You know, as a man or woman, tall, short, gay, straight, Latino, black, white, and race I don't know. I just don't give a fuck. Can you help me win? This is why I say I understand diversity on a whole different level. Can you help me win? If you can't help me win, I don't have much loyalty to you. Because it's a serious game. Some of y'all this is why some of y'all get certain jobs and you think, oh, they're just supposed to keep me around. But what were you doing to help them win? Or were you just grinding every day? Grinding every day. Grinding every day. Or were you saying, like, you know how I fell in love with this young man here, Sydney? Sydney was practicing winning before he joined 510 Media. And when he's with 510 Media, he focuses on winning. If I ask him to do something, his questions imply, no, how can we win? What do I need to do to win? Not what I need to do to just do my job so I can go home. This is the world, because in the end, 510 Media doesn't get to be 510 Media if 510 Media gets to the point that we just start working and become administrative and just doing a job and we think we're just so excellent, the world loves us. No, every day we need to be looking at where are we weaker? Give me feedback, give me insight, and guess what? How's everybody on my team improving, including me? If we're not always improving, you're threatening my chance to win, and I'm already calculating my next move. That's the game you in. That's life, the real shit we in. That shit y'all be talking all this love and kumbaya and social justice. I'm like, fuck off. Get the fuck out my face.
yo.
Next slide.
Long-term strategy versus short-term tactics.
Oh my God, come on.
Competition challenges you to balance immediate moves with a long view. Are you just reacting, or are you building something defensible, like brand equity, community, or intellectual property? So
whenever you're building something and you're creating something, the reason you don't get caught in trends, because you have to ask yourself, what's the long play on this? Can I play with a trend? They were talking about how one of the most fucked up things that happen to American relationships, it's not black, it's not white, it's American. That means all the motherfuckers around here. Is you've been sold short-term relationship standards over long-term relationship standards. So long-term standards was you looked at qualities that could weather the storm and make it through the process and build. And this is what the qualities people used to choose people by as you go back in time. Now people show you sexy bodies, and that's the end of the conversation. Video vixens get more attention than the woman who's actually putting her time in and studying and developing her mind, body, and spirit, and develop her skills and qualities, or show attributes that says she can navigate building family, relationship, businesses. We're not looking at those qualities anymore. Pay attention to online. It pulls a lever of immediate gratification. Look at her breast. Look at her ass. Look at the six pack on the guy. Look at his physical. Look at that smile. Look at his car. Look at his music career. I ain't told you shit about can this person weather the storm of a relationship. Well, some of y'all even move to business like that. This is why I can't stand superficial shit in business. Because superficial people love to jump from short-term trend to short-term trend, that pop culture bullshit. And if I offended you, fuck off. I can't help you. I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to tell you how competition works. Competition says, if I want to be in this game past tomorrow, I better figure out how this fucking world works so I can put myself in alignment and play a game that allows me to exist beyond my fucking feelings. Some of y'all are going to die with your fucking feelings because I feel this. I don't care what life says. This is what I feel. What? When you're in competition, you realize, no, your long-term planning allows you to build better strategies that will help you survive. Short-term thinking means you will build short-term strategies, which means a trend will knock your ass off. Like, Ralph Lauren built a long-term business. He said, I love the principles of old America, of conservative America, of classic America, right? This is what he built his whole business on. Ralph Lauren, if you look at his clothes from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, 2010, 2020, it's damn near the same design with respect to the newer styles. But he stands on the foundation of, I stand for this, which allows him to weather all. Now, Ralph Lauren goes out in 2000, say, Balenciaga takes over fashion, whatever, right? And he goes out of business, say 2030. That was a hell of a run. From 2070 to 2030? I mean, from 1970 to 2030? That's 60 years. Tell me if that ain't a beautiful success story. But what he did is he's still on something deeper than the hottest trend. Now think about all the companies that do with hot trends. Are they around? None of them around. None of them. Even like, for example, for Nike to survive, they had to build. You have to build a. Look how Nike let Hoka in the game. They let these other companies in the game. They had running shoes, but they didn't understand the game of running. You gotta stand on something deeper than success. I like this hot trend. This is cool. This is tight. This is what we do. What's your deepest purpose of being here? Why is your business in society? Or is it just here because, you know what? I just think it'd be a good thing. Go ahead.
So in the example of you saying, like, you know, Nike let Hokas into the game. I don't know if it's contradictory or not, but I mean, isn't that the point? Like, in order for them to maintain a competitive edge, there has to be competition for them, like iron to sharpen iron.
Absolutely, but what happens is that as you start to make more and more money, it's easy to become dull. You start to, it's hard. Competition is something that you got to bake it in who you are. You can't bake it based upon you're behind. You can't be competitive when you're behind because then you won't be competitive when you're ahead. Competitive says you're never ahead. Even if you're the number one company in your city, that's only today. Tomorrow it can literally go away. Now, once you start getting dull, let's say you just tired, you ran your race, you made your money, you don't have it in you, you can start slowing down and just naturally, Nike could go away. Nike could be gone by the time my daughter's a full adult. She'd be like, remember when people used to wear Nikes back in the day, huh, Dad? It's a possibility. There's no company today that cannot be victimized by competition. And if the leadership ever get to the point where they start becoming, this is one thing I also see that destroys competition. The team on the inside becomes entitled and think their job matters so much because they personalize their job that they forget about the outside world of competition. People don't want to change because at the end of the day, if I change, what's going to happen is, what does that mean about my job? What does that mean about me? You know, I don't know anything about this AI. Why do I need it? Can we just go back the way it used to be? The reason, do you realize that in the larger market, if you want to keep markets free and choices wide, that means you can't bring back old businesses. They're dead for a reason. Competition killed them. We're not dead because of tariffs. We're dead because of competition. Competition changes everything. You don't get to reverse this process, and if you do reverse the process, you cause a lot of damage and destruction. It's damn near war. Go ahead.
Emotional resilience and leadership growth. Constant pressure from competitors tests your mindset. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurs grow not by avoiding competition, but by learning how to adapt under pressure without losing their vision or purpose.
So when competition hits you, one time we were growing our business, and a coal company came to us and said, hey, we want to bring coal to Oakland and then ship it to China. And can you help us expand, make this work? And we got a big paycheck for you. Guess what I said? No. I understand what is my purpose, who am I serving? Would my market even accept that? Hell no. Right? When the marijuana industry first broke open, I kind of was like, oh, let me give it a chance because I didn't know as much. Once I got inside of it, and we made a lot of money from it, and we had a good position, and we built one of the largest marijuana companies in the Bay Area. When I got inside of it and I didn't agree with the values anymore, no, I'm out. He said, but you left? Yeah, I'm out. I don't want that lifestyle. I don't want that association with my business. I don't want to lose my competition, my competitive edge by taking on certain businesses that are not my market, right? You just don't, money, once you understand this entrepreneur stuff, your values, your morals, your mind, look, a lot of these emotional shit that we talk about in class has to exist this way for competition. It's like, you guys ever watch an NBA team or a baseball team or a football team that has emotional players who are super talented and they fuck the whole team up? You see them all. There's so many players where you be like, God bless his soul. I like Draymond Green in some ways. His values fuck him over a lot. I think Draymond Green is way greater than we even realize. I mean, first of all, he's 6'5", 6'6", playing against 7-footers. That's fucking already crazy as hell. But I call it the Rodman effect. Rodman exploited this weakness in his competitors. He'd go touch their ass. And Lonzo Mourning, great center, all of a sudden looks like so mediocre because he's emotionally lost, right? Competition says, I don't really give a fuck about all these feelings. You need to get that shit together so you can compete. Because you don't get to sit around and talk about, but my trauma and my feelings and I'm so hurt. Reframe your life and says, I got a mission. And in this process, I got to figure a way to maintain my emotions and my behavior. I got to make that part of my lifestyle. But you don't get to go to work one day and flash. Next day to work, you're nice. You don't get to one day treat your customer with great service. But then I don't feel good, so I didn't treat you with great service. You don't get none of those variations. You got to have great service every fucking day. Recently, I brought in 2 small projects because I want to do some training with our newer team members. And new job came in and I felt a drop in service because I felt like everyone was like, this is not what we regularly do. This is small. We up here, just jump chain. We're going to give it attention. And I pulled the team and said, hey, I don't give a fuck if a donation comes to this fucking, if it goes to our system, it's the same service experience, no matter what it is. You don't create these variations based upon how you feel. It's because you don't understand competition. Competition will say, you had a bad day yesterday? We don't have bad days over here. You had bad food that day? You know what? Our food is well plated every time over here. You know, they didn't give you a refund? We always get refunds here. That's policy. See the difference? Fuck your emotions. Fuck all your personal stories. When you run your business, it has to have this consistency and here's the thing, you need to work on your consistency. Catch me out in public. Only time I'm off in consistency is when you catch me early in the morning. My family protects me because I don't talk very much. I'm not mean, just don't want to talk. But catch me at the gym. Catch me walking down the street. Catch me at a party. I'm the same person. Because consistency is a world, because competition says I don't get to keep playing around with it. I can't one day be like, I'm hella cool. Next day you see me smoking weed online. Next day you hear me on the street. Like, bitch, what you said to me? And then you wonder why I didn't last in business? Because I'm not consistent. Competition says you don't get to be inconsistent like that. Next slide.
That's it.
That's the last slide?
Yeah.
What the fuck you say?
902.
That's 26 slides, baby. Hey, y'all at home, let me just tell you something. I just did some cold-blooded shit around here, you understand me? 26 slides in an hour and a half. You better check your books and see. Now, look, I'm looking at competition, baby. You know what I'm saying? You understand me? Look here. You feel me? Hey, look here. And it's 9:03. Any questions? Feel me? Look. Look. Hey.
So competition now, we need this now next week.
Hey, this 26 slides was cold-blooded. Hopefully you guys really, on a serious tip, hopefully you guys understand how powerful this competition thing is. Like, stop thinking about business as you working on a puzzle. Business is not this formulated puzzle that you get to sit in a room and unpack and solve. Business, while you're working on your puzzle, there's somebody coming around all the tables every day and trying to knock the pieces off the table. On top of that, there's somebody who the reward you're supposed to get when the puzzle's done is already going to eat up the reward. There's so many different. There's no linear movement in business. You don't get to just stay one track and focus on become really good on something. While you're working on all these other things, you got to ask yourself, how does this fare with competition? How is competition going to impact my plans? How is competition going to, like, even your money, how you spend your money? I see people, like during COVID, made a lot of money, and I saw a lot of nice cars and a lot of nice clothes being purchased right away. And I said, oh, you don't understand competition. Because if you made money, are you reinvesting to position yourself to make more money and get further from the competition? Or did you make money and reward yourself for your successes because you thought you did a wonderful job, not realizing it ain't got shit to do with that because it's about competition? Because if you want to do that again, and if you even do it more or do it greater, or even if you want to just stay consistent, that means you have to still figure a way to stay in front of competition. You don't get to walk around and play a status celebration game of look at me and look what I've done and look how great I am. Competition says, nah, you always working on your shit. You're always studying. You're always practicing. And you always looking for ways to be better. And you always accepting that the day that you call slipping, somebody will take your place. And this whole idea of you got to protect your idea because anybody steal it. They only stole it because you don't understand. You wasn't running properly. Like, there's already another 510 media out there. And I'm good with that. And guess what? If they catch me, it's not they stole anything from me. It's because I took my role for granted. My job is to outrun. As soon as if let's say tomorrow somebody gets the way we're doing business today, next year we should have already moved on. And there's certain layers of how we do things, and we're constantly unraveling those things. I'm not saying you can share all your business techniques, even though I don't have a problem if people learn. I tell people all the time, come learn what we do. But what I realize is that I don't get to rest. It's not. Here's the thing I have a problem with is that corporate America, we've been selling, and this is in modern day culture. You know, it's like in corporate America, people, you ask people, what would you do this weekend? The hottest thing we celebrate is comfort. Oh man, this weekend I chilled. This weekend I went on a vacation. This weekend, I went and had some drinks with my friends. This weekend, right? We don't celebrate competition no more. We don't celebrate the work of competition. You know, this weekend I built some stuff that's going to be a greater position to make my next week even run better, smoother. Hey, we are working on new improvement of the idea. You know, this weekend I actually went out and kind of did some observations and figured out what I could do different about my life. You know, I had some cool conversations with some people that challenged some ideas. You know, I heard this dope ass podcast that made me think about some things differently. Like, yes, a wolf doesn't talk like a dog. Yes, when you invite a wolf in your house, it's not, if you're used to having my dog, he's, and playing with him, you can't do that with a wolf. Wolf is moving different because a wolf understands it has a different incentive for why it's out here. And that incentive in the world they're in is shaping them. They're not shaping it. It's when we say wolf and gladiator, the ecosystem made us that way. And that's how we survive to be in that system. It's not that we're harsh. The wolf is harsh to the dogs viewing the wolf. But for the wolf, we don't see, it's normal to us. I eat that little dog. That dog don't mean shit to me. It's not harsh to us because the world we live in, that's how the game rolls. So to us, it's our norm. To you, we seem, that's a little edgy. That's a little, But if you ever hung out with like Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? He has a different level of discipline. He's not gonna be the same as talking to somebody at the club. He's not at all. Barbershop conversations will be the worst with him. He won't fit. Nor should Neil deGrasse Tyson expect to go to the barbershop and have a good time talking because we're not, the framework, their discipline of thought is different. So, and when dogs compare themselves to wolves, once again, if you don't embrace competition and you're used to living in a life of a loser, then you can learn to develop envy and hate and dislike for the wolf. Because like he shouldn't be eating. He should be so mean. He should be attacking. He should be fighting. He shouldn't move like that. His hair should be that long. Yeah, because you're a dog. When you become a wolf, so I'll give you an example. I ask caution. The other day when a tree fell on my car. So it's a brand new 2024 BMW. Tree says, "Bow." So I'll show you the difference between dogs and wolves. First dog pulls around the corner and goes, "Oh man, you okay? I'm glad you're not in the car. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Oh my God, must feel bad. I'm sorry. You're really taking this really, really well, right?" Another dog comes around the corner like, damn, I was just looking at your car. It's a beautiful car, man. I don't know how I would feel if I was you. Another dog. Another dog comes across the street like, that's your car? Yeah, right? Two wolves came along around the corner, but let me tell you what the wolf that I want to highlight. This one wolf pulled up, pulls up, rolled down his window, he goes, that's you? I said, yeah. He goes, oh shit, okay, man. All right, man, I'll see you in a minute, bro. And me as a wolf went, I see you. And what you know what he was saying? What that said to me was, and he by the way, he explained it to me later. And I was like, you don't have to explain it, I understand it, but he explained it. And what he said to me, what he was translating and what I felt at the moment, I actually smiled and laughed with him like, yeah, which two wolves were saying, yeah, it's just nature. That's how life works. It's crazy how it works like that sometimes. You know, some of our new shit. But we're going to be all right because we wolves, right? Dogs are like, oh my God, it just shouldn't happen. Wolf says, no, shit like this happens all the time. It's part of life. We don't get to protect it because we wanted to be here. We got to lose shit all the time as wolves. Shit comes and goes. Like, you can be like, I finally built the perfect business until it's not. I built all this shit. A wolf will buy a whole office of beautiful shit and then go, leave it there, we gone. That's wolf shit. Dogs be like, but that's so important and valuable. You're like, yeah, no, depends. Relevant is relative. It's all relative. Go ahead.
So this has been an interesting class, and I want to resurface the question that I asked earlier, because as you've talked through this, and this is not the first time I have felt this way, I think I'm maybe okay being some version of a dog, and I didn't always feel that way because, like I was saying earlier, I think the way it's been socialized in class is almost like there should be a shame in that. But there are variations of dogs. Court, when you taught about confidence in action, I have evidence that is something that I've been able to action on in spades, right? When it gets hot, when there's something that needs to happen in order for something else to happen, I've always been very able to push myself, propel myself, do what is necessary to bring about the result. I think just like anything else, there's a marketing, and I've been having a lot of conversations with people, with entrepreneurs, with people around entrepreneurship, and I think like with anything else, there's a marketing aspect to entrepreneurism, just like with anything else. And I'm being honest, I don't mean nothing by this, but I'm just speaking honestly. Mm-hmm. There's like a joylessness that goes along with it, it feels like. And so
with what?
With entrepreneurism, it's like a joylessness. And so it's making me ask myself, what is all of this for, right? What is it, not what is it worth, but understanding the relationship and worth between I have a successful business as an entrepreneur, but I'm joyless in the process of that. Like when you said, people come back to work on the weekend. What did you do on the weekend? I went on vacation versus I did these other things. So the other things is the successful entrepreneur, but it's joyless. So yes, there's a win, right? But is it really a win? It depends on what you're trying to win.
No, let's play around. Let's have some fun. Mm-hmm. I think you're describing dogs who are trying to be wolves. They want security over agency. See, they really want security, and they want the business to give them security. Our entrepreneurs didn't have security in corporate America, and then became entrepreneurs. Thought I can go out here and the world will reward me because my company wouldn't give me a promotion because I didn't have the Harvard degree. So I can go out here and they won't judge me my degree. And as long as I do a good job, they'll reward me. Mm-hmm. You're really a dog trying to play with these wolves. And so one of the reasons you suffer and struggle, you're just not really good at being a wolf. And so, remember I said positioning matters? So if you position yourself, if you're a dog and you put yourself in a wolf space, it's gonna make you feel like you're not good enough. It's gonna be a hard thing on your life, right? What I'm trying to do is tell in the entrepreneur class that this is I'm not speaking to Oakland, I'm speaking to entrepreneur class. Mm-hmm. If you choose to be a wolf, if you wanna play business, if you can't embrace this wolf shit, it's just a matter of time before you get knocked out of this game. And when you die, you're supposed to die. You're supposed to die. There's a harshness. This ain't about, I don't give a fuck, nor does the world, nor does the life. If life gives a fuck about us feeling good, nobody in this room would die. I'm not gonna, if you passed away before me, I'm not gonna feel good about that. I really like me some Kaja, right? But life doesn't, that's not a life thing. Life, those of us who love life don't want to love death, but they're the same fucking thing, right? So people feeling good is not a variable. I don't really give a fuck how you feel. If anything, you need to have a real conversation. Why are you in this game? If the agency doesn't turn you on more than the security and the comfort, you're in the wrong fucking game. And I love agency over everything. Look, my wife used to say this famously. She said, you know how, she says, don't ever tell Nana, and my daughter's the same way, which is crazy. We never had that conversation. If you want to get me to do it, she said, if you tell Nana he can't do it, this motherfucker's going to do it. Right? Like, I don't like told what I can't do. It's so deep in my soul that it's like, if somebody says, hey, that can't be done. Oh, for you see me this all the time. Do not project your limitations on me. I got this wolf in me that even when I was in school, so agency is not lost. Agency is not lost just by, it's not nature nurture. I mean, it's not nature. It's a lot of it's nurture. I've watched black people in our communities strip agency from our kids early. And a lot of black boys don't like school because they're telling you, yo, you're not giving me any agency. Agency is, why did I learn this? I want to learn what I want to learn when I want to learn it. How I want to learn it. Doesn't mean that you can't learn some other things, but black kids, you listen to comment complain, why am I learning this? How am I using this in life? And if the teacher can't translate that, they're sitting in class talking about, I don't fucking get this shit. But the perfect student can learn whatever the fuck the teacher tells them to do without ever saying, why are you fucking doing this? So then that kid comes out in the real world and they want to have agency. And they don't want to go to corporate America. One of the reasons I hated corporate America, I say corporate America is no place for a black man. Because a lot of times corporate America was saying, you need to talk, act, do this. If you even speak your mind, that might offend him. So don't say this. And it was such a non-agency, but a lot of security, right? Look at that basketball player that play on these teams. A lot of us listen to these basketball players and entertainers and rappers. They don't have no fucking agency. Agency is the motherfucker who owns the NBA. Agency is the motherfucker who owns the record labels. Agency is the motherfucker who's own Hollywood, right? We don't even listen to them. We don't even read their books. We fall in love with motherfuckers who fell in love with security. So is it really a surprise by the time we become adult, we're more comfortable with security than agency? Yeah, it's been the environment we've been growing. The reason black people are not saying, look, is black schools in Oakland good? Public schools, are they any good? No, let's just call it 100%. I'm spending damn near, it's $56,000 a year to go to college at Harvard. I'm spending $3,600 to $3,300. $56,000 a year to go to Harvard. I'm spending $33,000 to $36,000 for a first grader in fucking private schools. Why? Oakland has one of the highest enrollments in public schools in the Bay Area has one of the highest enrollment in public schools in the state. Why is that? Because our public schools are failing, right? Part of us, that was somewhere I was going with this. Education is not designed our kids to say, hey, black people turn around and say schools suck, right? We'll say schools suck. You know how schools can change? We just take agency over it. Not even money, just take agency. If black people say we won't get involved in our schools, really get involved and take agency over our challenges, almost all of them will subside. I'm saying they will all go away because you're human, so there will always be some level of imperfection. But will they subside? Hell fucking yeah. But guess what black people do? The government, somebody needs to come fix these schools. You heard that before. Somebody needs to work on black community. You heard that before. No. Adults say this. I gotta say it if a kid said it because they're not adult yet. Grown as adults say white people need to, other people need to, black people need to, somebody need to. Where the fuck is your agency? So we're in a culture that promotes security over agency. Entrepreneurs are animals of all cultures. I don't give a fuck what your background, your race is, your gender is. You love agency over security. And you understand, like, for example, the reason the job you have right now, because somebody said agency for me. Now, if people start saying no agency, It's kind of a fucked up world. So I'm saying is I'm not mad at. I'm saying if we're in a health conference, I don't give a fuck about what the fat people are saying. I don't. I'm trying to get everybody healthy in a health conference. But I know about some fat people who feel ashamed about this. I'm sorry. I don't know how the fuck to talk about that. Competition says we don't give a fuck. I know this sounds really fun. It's not, I'm not saying this. Life, let me go home and do what I want that makes me happy. Life says if I go drink alcohol because it makes me happy, life says I don't give a fuck how it makes you happy. I'm going to kill you. Let's say I drive the way I want to drive because I feel like doing it. Life says I don't give a fuck what you want to drive like. I'm going to kill you. Life has different rules from popular opinion, popular ideas, and popular views. So in an entrepreneur class, I'm signaling to other entrepreneurs, if you decide to jump in this entrepreneur game, the first thing you need to take in consideration to protect your success and your growth and your progress and your scaling in this business, you better get comfortable with this. Don't play the corporate dog game and get into this game and then be that person online or whispering to other people's ears like, this entrepreneur shit is full of shit. It's kind of unfair. It's not unfair.
I don't think it's full of shit, but I got lost a little bit in that answer because what I'm trying to get to is if the wolf mentality breeds the agency and that's the lure of entrepreneurship, why is it that many of you appear to have no joy or no ability to celebrate what you've built?
What you're not separating is the dogs who are playing like the wolves. I can promise you, I can sit in front of a lot of people and tell you that more people are dogs who are the people that we are seeing that are running around calling themselves entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneur became a fad. It's an easy fad because people were trying to figure out, how do I escape this oppression of jobs, not educated society? Black people have been trying to escape this oppression for quite some time. So a lot of us have embraced this new term. You know, entrepreneurship will get you a partner, a sexual partner real quick, right? It became so trendy. I'm just keeping it 100% real. So everybody can call you, right now, you can call yourself astronaut. Unless we were willing to verify it, and if people give you money for it, you're an astronaut. Are you an astronaut? No. Entrepreneurs is a self-anointing that we can all engage in. But when we talk about successful entrepreneurs as opposed to somebody carrying a title, most people I know who are depressing, let them sit in front of me right now. I can show you the weaknesses. They're not wolves. They don't move like wolves. Me and Court talk to these people all the time. When Court first came, this was early Court. Court said, no, let's bring in some other entrepreneurs to help teach this class. I said, who are you talking about? They're not talking about us. You talking about? He said, no, let's go. I said, all right, cool. This not happen. We went to a party. I said, all right, this is a business party. Let's go find me some entrepreneurs. Were they dogs sound like wolves? Trying to talk, yeah, we are venture capitalists. We doing these big things. I said, let them keep talking. 30 minutes later, yeah, because we work for these other guys who are venture capitalists, and we just kind of go try to find other companies for them to invest in. You're a fucking dog acting like you're a wolf, right? Court can tell you, like, Court, how many wolves, which out of people who call themselves entrepreneurs, what's the ratio of wolves to dogs who call themselves entrepreneurs?
Very, very few. But let me jump in, too. Let's go back to the original story. The wolf went to the dog and saw the nice stuff, and as soon as he saw the collar, he walked away. That to me, the beauty of that part is what makes this real. He didn't say, damn, like, oh, that's messed up. Or he didn't spend any time dialoguing with himself. He immediately walked away, which means freedom is non-negotiable. Give a fuck what you got going on. So when you enter into that wolf space, freedom's non-negotiable. So the horror in your mind of getting a collar put onto you is the lowest form of any joy you can ever. So whatever you're going through on the entrepreneur side is 10 times worth whatever you're going through versus having to put a collar on. Because that is ultimate dread. That's ultimate hell. And so if you don't have that mentality, it's hard to see it. You know what I'm saying?
Also, agency Agency comes, security. So for example, let's say your mother makes your peanut butter sandwiches every morning if we go to school. That's security. But if you decide, no, I'm gonna make my own sandwiches, some days you're gonna forget. You're gonna be starving. Some days you're gonna forget to buy the products. Some days you can lose your product on the bus. I mean, there's so many variables of things that can happen when you decide to take an agency, right? Agency is a greater responsibility. So if you go into it and you romanticized it because you went to some self-help guru, and you thought, oh yeah, I just do 1, 2, 3 and I'll be successful. And then agency shows up and knocks on the door and realize, no, this shit's real. This is like, you ever seen join the army because the army wants you. One of the greatest places until you in the middle of battle, you realize it ain't that commercial. That commercial ain't the same thing, right? But men still join the army for a certain reason. That's deeper than that. What I'm saying is that you hear, even when men go to the army, they hear about the bad stories, but they still join the army. Men still know about people got killed in the army. People know you can get shipped off anytime, but you still join the army. There's something deeper inside that rational, happy, not happy. And my thing is, if you decide tomorrow, hey, I want to be a leader, and then you fail. You want to be a superior leader and you fail. Or you want to run a business, you fail. Just know you didn't embrace this other side because you are caught in this dynamics that it should not be that way. Where in business, I'm telling you that you don't really get to call that. I became this way because if you knew Nana before I was an entrepreneur, I'm gonna be open. I was not all about the women. That's all I cared about was women. I don't know if there was anything else that mattered besides women. And I dressed, moved, talked, drove, swagged. Like I wasn't into pimping, but I sure enjoy women, right? When I got into business, I started going against my ways. I told y'all when I was doing photography, I didn't sleep with my models. That's not my way. Because the industry said, if you want to be in a competition, the reason I stopped messing with models, not because I said to myself, it just would be more moral. Thought morals gonna stop me? Didn't stop me before. Or, you know what? I'd be a good guy. Good guys finish last. I'm not trying to be good. It was because if I want to whoop this competition around me, they all sleep with their models. I gotta get an edge. So that means no more models. And every time I look, competition doing this, I gotta get an edge. Can't do that no more. Competition doing this, okay, I need to start doing this more. I realized competition wasn't even studying. So guess what? I created a class because I started studying. Eventually, I ended up creating a class. And guess who was in my class? All my competition. Because I had to move differently because I recognized competition. Competition saying, fuck what you think, feel, believe, don't like, dislike, da-da-da-da. I don't give a shit. Competition said, this is what's required. Can you do it or not? If you can't, then you're not supposed to be in this game. You're designed to die. The game's going to kill you off, and there ain't nothing I can say or do to save you until you decide to respect the game you playing. But if you don't respect the game, it's like a person decided to sell dope in the 80s or 90s when crack was crazy and decided, you know what, I don't care what other people are saying or doing. I'm just going to do what I feel. You're going to be dead. You're going to be in the back of somebody's car or in the Hudson River because your punk ass thought you could go out in this game and not pay attention to how this game works to master what position you're going to take because of competition and the originalness of this game. So what I'm saying is that you don't get to be the innocent, beautiful, nice, wonderful, kind, moral, rich person and not understanding the game you playing. A dog will literally go, if you take a dog that's trained domestically and let it free in the wild, it's going to run around sniffing. And there's other animals going, okay, just a little bit closer, a little bit closer. He's the only one that didn't know he was a prey. The wolf knows when he's a predator and the wolf knows when he's the prey. And he has to live accordingly. Otherwise, his species does not exist. The zebra says, I can't afford to even let your kids live. I will kill your kids for our survival. And you might say, well, that seems so mean, but it's still here. If the game is survival, if the number one game is being here, are we distorting the rules based upon what we feel? That's what's so important. So I'm saying it's like, so if you say, I don't get it, maybe you're using this class because you use this class to be a better person. But if you decide to go into competition, I don't ever want to hear, man, it's unfair what they're doing. No, it's not unfair. You just won't recognize the rules. You're not moving accordingly. And this is why I can tell often when how people are moving their rituals and their habits and how serious they are. They don't understand the game they're playing. It's like you've been on basketball. Look at Doncic. Doncic is one of the best, most talented basketball players in the league. And the team just let his ass go because he's too fat. He doesn't understand the competition. They're saying, yeah, you're going to win seasonal games, but you can't win competition with that body. You need to get your shit together. The coach of the Lakers said, my team, this is the coach said that when he lost the series, he said, okay, we got whooped 4-1, and I want to say this real quick. There's going to be some changes on my team because there's people on my team that's not in shape, and they don't understand. They need to get ready for the highest level of competition. And then I wouldn't get rid of that. I don't give a fuck who the fuck you are, how many endorsements you got. You're not going to be here. That's the difference. So those who don't recognize competition, you could say, well, I don't feel I need to. And even for your mind, let's just stay with me real quick. If this is going back to that podcast that Shakita talked about earlier, there's signals happening all around the world. It's you that's giving labels to the signals. You saw entrepreneurs that weren't happy. Did you see the entrepreneurs? How many entrepreneurs were happy? No. It's the question is, why is your brain tuned to see that and then see this? Because I'm happy as a motherfucker. I'm so motherfucking happy fighting. I wake up in the morning like, where's my next fight? Right? Fighting gives me, like my testosterone just goes up when I scream. It's time to go to work. Right? How come you didn't see that and you saw that? It's like I can go to a city. I remember this old story said this guy was moving. He went to Texas and he said, I'm moving away from a bad neighborhood, so I'm moving to Texas. He said, and he gets to Texas. He gets to this one city, like I say, Phoenix, and he goes, yeah, I'm moving to Texas because things were bad back home. And he was like, well, the guy goes, well, how's it like in Phoenix? He says, well, what's it like in your home? He said, oh man, it was crazy, crime, violence. He goes, same thing here. So he drives off a little bit further. He gets to Denver, and dude's like, where you going? He said, I'm going to Texas. I'm trying to get away from crime. He said, well, and the guy goes, well, how's it in Denver? He goes, well, how's it with your home? He goes, well, it was crime, violence, prostitution, disrespect. He goes, yeah, same thing here. And the moral of the story was, it wasn't Texas, it was him. What do you see? So I know these entrepreneurs are not happy. Who are you looking at?
Can I add something too?
Yeah.
Is that joy should not be a requisite for entrepreneurship. You shouldn't rely on entrepreneurship at all, even to make you joyful. That's not what entrepreneurship is for. Joy has to be worked on internally, aside from what your craft is. So if you ain't happy, you can't say, well, I'm gonna be an entrepreneur and that's gonna make me happy. No. Matter of fact, that's a roller coaster ride. You gotta be internally joyful already, working on your joy and happiness already. And that is a multiplication or magnification, because those two should not be the triggers or dependent on each other. Because yes, you would be fucking depressed if your joy was relying on you being a successful entrepreneur.
Man, I love it. What are we missing?
Maybe we missing.
I'm not saying you should get joy from being an entrepreneur. I'm saying that the things that entrepreneurs bill as the benefits of that, the agency, the freedom, it would seem that those are the things that would give you the joy. But to me, people look tired, they look stressed,
but that's
they can't
confusing.
take a day off, they can't celebrate nothing. What is this for?
Let me tell you what's confusing. You using short-term references for long-term joy. Long-term joy, I can be pissed off today and stressed out, whatever, right? Long-term joy, do I have life satisfaction? As opposed to, am I happy every day? And I could be in a rut. I could be going through like a storm. Like when Court was going through a storm, he went through a storm since middle or early last year. If you watched him, there's times he's down, right?
I'm going through a storm now.
But his joy, matter of fact, he showed up in every class while he was still going through it. He was down. But if you asked him, you want to get a job? Whoa, what'd I do to you, bro? Don't disrespect me. That's going too far. It's like the drive of being in it is not like when you watch me, or you watch me every day, second, minute, hour, hour. So that's what I'm saying. So when you spotlighting me and you spotlight these observations, they're peekaboo moments. You gotta watch me. If you catch me on bad days, I'm having a few bad days in a row. Also, too, there's the reason that what's flawed in that analysis is that I need a bigger number of insight to go, okay, I watched thousands of people for hours. And this is a conclusion that come up with this diversity of 1,000 people. Maybe you plugged into a circle of people based upon whatever how you're positioned, that's giving you one variable that if you were to equate that to, like, say, all the entrepreneurs in California, you realize you're not even at 1%. And so even if 1% was depressed, does that speak towards there's all these, like, human beings are complex intersections of multiple ideas, beliefs, and systems and beliefs, So even when you say, oh, this group is depressed, the reason that your question is, I think, is distorted is the question you're asking doesn't align with long-term benefits. Like you said about husbands and wives. Somebody's a happy husband. Hella days, man, that goddamn wife of mine, this motherfucking, I swear to God, sometimes oh gosh, she got on my motherfucking nerves, oh my God. But if you ask someone to leave her, no, I ain't leaving her now. I just say, she made me mad that day. I'll be all right tomorrow. That's what it's like. Long-term marriage is not about every day was so romantic. You know, every day I feel like you heard me. Every day our sex was just so good. Every day I never thought about looking at nobody else ever because all I ever want to see is you. What the fuck is wrong with you? You weirdo? Like, no one does that. There's days when you're in a long-term marriage, you be like, you know, if you don't come home tomorrow, I can get used to it. That's some days you just, I'm alive. Some days that's what's long-term relationship is not, it's ups and downs, but it's the bigger values while you in it. So if you catch me on those days where I'm like, ew, that whoa, bad lack, you know, calling some old term name of just getting on my nerves, don't go to my house and be like, yo, he's planning on dumping you. You should go to a civil court and file a lawsuit because he's using you. Like, no. You don't see the context of it. If you see me argue with her, like, no, you need to shut the fuck up. No, fuck it. You can leave if you want. Like, oh my God, he just devalues you. He doesn't see you as a woman. He doesn't appreciate you. I don't understand why you're in that relationship. Context. And human beings are not so one-dimensional that I'm just happy. And if I'm not happy, I'm going to go places that make me happy. I've never been any place that 100% all the time made me happy. I would have to be so high. Oh, this shit's got me happy. Even drug addicts don't stay happy. Let's just say the first hit's never been, you never can get that first hit again. It's like, that's not why people do shit. So that's why I think the distortion was when you're making these references. And I think the other tone was, I was kind of implying I don't give a fuck how they feel because it ain't up to me to feel. It's like I don't control you know what I mean? It's not about me feeling or not liking them. Like, there's no room for social justice. Fuck social justice. Get the fuck out the room. I'm telling you that if you want to be on a professional NBA team, if you don't follow these moves, they don't give a fuck, nor do I. Just know that. And if you want to be on an NBA team, I don't want to hear about you forming a group talking about them motherfucking NBA coaches all be hating on black players. Oh my God. Well, the whole team is black besides you. I don't get it. Like, you just mad because you didn't make it. So, like I said, competition is so mean to the losers. It can be so mean to the losers. But that's why when you told your child, stay in school, get good grades, you would tell them competition. Because you have to compete for these opportunities. Right? It just goes up higher for entrepreneurs, way the fuck higher. So if Court makes $1 million profit next year and Court goes buy a house for $700,000, that's a horrible number in Bay Area, doesn't exist, but $700,000 immediately, I would look at him like, oh, I guess you don't stay in competition, huh? Because you just assume that next year you're going to make another $1 million, huh? Okay, all right, bro. As opposed to he made $1 million, he's already invested by $400,000, and then he's moved with the other $600,000 quarterly. This is one of his profits, but he's already made an investment. But one of the reasons that we remain poor as a people, we're underinvested. Housing market, we're underinvested, and we're high in fees. So if you understand competition, you can never be underinvested. If you make a profit, I have so much money in investments because I already know that I may slip to competition or life may take my position away, and I have to be able to give myself a high chance to get started right away on my next opportunity. So I'm always making moves. Even my relationships are understand that I can lose to competition. You're not gonna always win. You're not entitled to that. So what are you doing to win? And also, what are you doing to recompete if you take a loss? All that's part of the game. Josh, you got anything to say before we go home? He said, I'm ready to go home. Get all his questions to himself. Okay. All right. So with that being said, let's have a good weekend. And also, too, let's all wear tight hats like Josh. All right. Have a good night. Bye.